Chapter 1668. On a mountain peak hundreds of miles away from Fengshui village, a snow-white diamond skeleton was holding a strange ancient mirror in its palm. It was displaying the current situation in Fengshui village. Behind him were 8 platinum skeletons, each of them emitting a terrifying aura. "We've found the last 3 inheritors, but they're beyond our capabilities. Even the Divine Firmament King's 10 kings were killed. If we go, we'll just be sending ourselves to our deaths. Let's go back and report to Master." Zhan Wen said slowly, a little shocked and fearful. The 9 of them were the 9 diamond skeletons under Zhan Tianqing. In the past few months, they had already captured 5 inheritors according to Zhan Tianqing's instructions. There were only 3 inheritors left, Geng Long, Geng Hu, and Ling Xiao. They had found the last 3 inheritors, but with the protection of Fengshui village, Pangu village, and Tomb King village, they knew that this mission could not be completed. "Boss, why does the Divine Firmament King want to capture the inheritors? We have to act quickly for the other 5. Otherwise, I'm afraid we won't be able to answer to Master." Zhan Tu said. "I'm not sure either. But I'm afraid the world of death is about to change. The 9 titled skeleton kings have always been in hiding. This time, the Divine Firmament King has chosen to take action. It's very likely that it has something to do with the River of Forgetfulness and the Hurricane Lily. Let's go, we have to report this to Master immediately." Zhan Wen glanced at Fengshui village in the distance and left the mountain peak with the other 8 diamond skeletons to report back. The reason why Ling Xiao did not kill Geng Long and Geng Hu was that he knew that even if he died in this world of death, he would not truly die. Furthermore, there were many things that Ling Xiao wanted to verify with them. Pangu Feng, Mu Yuansheng, and Li Qingyun finally decided to help Ling Xiao obtain the Hurricane Lily with all their might. They would let Ling Xiao's cultivation level break through to the titled Skeleton King realm and control the Death Dao origin. Only then would he have a chance to kill the 9 titled skeleton kings and control the cyclic sky seal. Next, Ling Xiao temporarily stayed in Fengshui village. According to Li Qingyun's calculations, the River of Forgetfulness should appear within a month, and it should not be far from Fengshui village. Therefore, the experts of the 3 races all gathered in Fengshui village to prepare for the River of Forgetfulness and to prevent the Divine Firmament King from sending people again. Moreover, Pangu Feng, Mu Yuansheng and the rest began to hunt down the experts of the skeleton race without restraint. Within 100,000 miles of Fengshui village, all the experts of the skeleton race suffered a calamity. In a month's time, more than 10 purple gold skeleton kings were killed and the calamity seeds were left for Ling Xiao to consume. Boom! It has finally appeared. Li Qingyun's eyes flickered with a strange light as he spoke excitedly. The red spider lily contains the Death Dao origin, and it has a fatal attraction to the skeleton race. It can even allow them to comprehend the Death Dao origin and advance to the titled Skeleton King realm. This time, all the experts of the skeleton race in the world of death will be alarmed. Pangu Feng said slowly, with a solemn look in his eyes. There were only 9 titled skeleton kings in the entire world of death. However, the number of purple gold skeleton kings wasn't small. One could imagine that many purple gold skeleton kings would come into being for this supreme opportunity. And, there would certainly be an earth-shattering battle at that time. That was because there was only one red spider lily. After consuming the red spider lily, one could comprehend the Death Dao origin and advance to the titled Skeleton King realm. The red spider lily is also very useful to the 9 titled skeleton kings. I'm afraid the 9 titled skeleton kings will not watch the red spider lily fall into the hands of others. They will definitely fight for it. Mu Yuansheng said slowly. Everyone felt great pressure. If they wanted to obtain the red spider lily, they would have to face the 9 titled skeleton kings in advance. Although Pangu Feng, Mu Yuansheng, and Li Qingyun were strong, they could only deal with a 9-star purple gold skeleton king at most. They were no match for the 9 titled skeleton kings. However, this is also our only chance. As the saying goes, wealth comes from danger. Great opportunities and great fortunes will also be accompanied by great danger. This time, countless experts of the skeleton race will be mobilized. Perhaps we can seek victory in the chaos. No matter what, I must obtain the red spider lily. Ling Xiao said resolutely. He had the sky-devouring secret technique. To the experts of the skeleton race, there were almost no bottlenecks. As long as they could devour enough tribulation seeds, they could continue to advance. It could be said that before reaching the 9-star purple gold skeleton king, Ling Xiao would not have any bottlenecks. This time, with so many experts of the skeleton race gathered, he could definitely break through to the 9-star purple gold skeleton king realm first. At that time, with his various techniques, even if he faced the 9 titled skeleton kings, he would still have a chance. Ling Xiao's only concern was Zhang Tianqing. After all, Zhang Tianqing had the bloodline of the war race. The flipping sky seal was said to be the most precious treasure of the war race. Zhang Tianqing might have some unique conditions. Ling Xiao had to be the first to control the flipping sky seal. Looking at the direction of the Wangchuan River, it should be in the Death Mountain range hundreds of thousands of miles away. Let's go and see if we can see some opportunities first. Li Qingyun looked at the huge whirlpool in the distance and said slowly. Fengshui Village, Panga Village, and Tomb King Village moved extremely quickly. The 3 clans gathered 30 experts of the half-saints. Under the leadership of the 3 great elders, they were ready to go to the place where the Wangchuan River appeared. After all, the main battle this time would definitely take place between the purple gold skeleton kings. It was meaningless to have too many people. Instead, it would cause immeasurable casualties. Therefore, it was enough to send out the experts of the half-saints. Moreover, under the leadership of Li Qingyun, 30 half-saints had formed the Yin-Yang Divine Dragon formation of the 5 elements. It was a mobile battle formation. Li Qingyun believed that when the time came, it would erupt with terrifying power. Whoosh! 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 Chapter 1669. Death Mountain Range. Powerful spatial fluctuations filled the air. Barren mountains were swallowed one after another, and a huge river appeared. It was filled with dense death energy and contained a strange fluctuation. This long river was the River of Forgetfulness. When it appeared in the Death Mountain range, it swallowed dozens of mountains in an instant. Those skeleton clan experts were swept up by the River of Forgetfulness and turned into dust in an instant. The River of Forgetfulness contained the power of the origin of death. It could corrode everything. Even the skeleton clan experts couldn't withstand it. When they were swept up by the River of Forgetfulness, their souls were completely scattered in an instant. Roar! 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 Loud roars resounded through the heavens and earth. The appearance of the River of Forgetfulness instantly caused the skeleton clan in the death world to go crazy. The skeleton clan experts who were closest to the Death Mountain range all rushed over. Golden skeletons, platinum skeletons, and purple gold skeleton kings were all over the mountains. Their auras were extremely powerful, and they emitted extremely excited and blazing spiritual fluctuations. Those skeleton clan experts all stood beside the River of Forgetfulness, each occupying a region. They all stared at the River of Forgetfulness, waiting for the red spider lily to bloom. According to legend, the red spider lily was right in the middle of the River of Forgetfulness. When the red spider lily bloomed completely, as long as one could swallow the red spider lily, they would be able to comprehend the origin of the Death Tao and advance to the realm of Skeleton King. Currently, the powerhouses of the skeleton clan were still restraining themselves. There were no large-scale battles, only some small skirmishes. When Ling Xiao and the others arrived at the Death Mountain range, they saw that the Forgetfulness River was filled with experts from the skeleton race. Just the purple gold skeleton kings alone numbered in the hundreds. Every single one of them exuded a terrifying aura that shot up into the sky. Ling Xiao and the others chose to stop at a mountain range in the periphery. They didn't go near the River of Forgetfulness. After all, the 30 experts from Fengshui Village, Panga Village, and Tomb King Village were all from the human clan. If they appeared at the River of Forgetfulness rashly, they would instantly become the target of public criticism and be besieged by countless skeleton clan experts. There are hundreds of purple gold skeleton kings. These are just the purple gold skeleton kings near the Death Mountain range. There are many who haven't arrived yet. It seems that it won't be easy to get the red spider lily. Pangu Fong sighed softly and said slowly. They are just a plate of loose sand. When the Permitha flower appears, they will definitely fall into chaos and fight each other. At that time, we can charge over and seize the Permitha flower. Mu Yuanqing smiled faintly, his eyes filled with a strong fighting spirit. Ling Xiao stared at the River of Forgetfulness in the distance, and his heart trembled slightly. He actually felt a mysterious power of reincarnation from the River of Forgetfulness. The power of life and death intertwined, mysterious and unpredictable. Ling Xiao thought to himself. There is nothing to be afraid of. Even if there are hundreds or thousands of purple gold skeleton kings, they are just a plate of loose sand. They will fight for themselves. We have the 5 elements yin-yang divine dragon formation. We can defeat them one by one. The only thing we need to pay attention to is the 9 titled skeleton kings. If they come to fight for the red spider lily, we will be in trouble. Li Qingyun said slowly. Elders, when the battle royale starts later, we don't have to fight for the transformation. We can use the power of the battle formation to kill as many purple gold skeleton kings as possible and take their calamity seeds. As long as I can devour enough calamity seeds, my strength will continue to increase. It won't be impossible for me to become a 9-star purple gold skeleton king. Ling Xiao said to the 3 elders. Good. We will do as little friend Long said. Pangu Feng, Mu Yuanqing, and Li Qingyun looked at each other and nodded. They had decided to help Ling Xiao obtain the red spider lily, kill the 9 titled skeleton kings, and take control of the cyclic sky seal. They were willing to pay any price to do so. When Ling Xiao and the others arrived at the mountain range of death, a 100-meter-tall purple gold skeleton king stood on a mountain peak in the deepest part of the mountain range of death. Its entire body was suffused with purple light, and the aura of death surged into the sky. Behind him, the 9 purple gold skeleton kings stood side by side. Each of them had a strong aura and were at the 1-star realm. Zhan Tianqing had arrived. His subordinates, Zhan 1 to Zhan 9, had also broken through to the purple gold skeleton king realm with Zhan Tianqing's help. Now, all of them were full of ambition and battle intent. They could not wait to die for Zhan Tianqing. In order to obtain the hurricane lily, they were willing to pay any price. Only I deserve the red spider lily. Zhan Tianqing said slowly as he stared at the River of Forgetfulness. The aura around him was terrifying. Master, your bravery is unparalleled and your battle prowess is extraordinary. Naturally, only you are worthy of obtaining the red spider lily. But what if the 9 titled skeleton kings come? Especially that divine firmament king. He wanted to capture the inheritor previously. This time, he might come to fight for the red spider lily. Zhan 1 said respectfully. The divine firmament king? I have already asked around. That old man is at the end of his life and wants the red spider lily to prolong his life. Also, he is the most ambitious of the 9 titled skeleton kings. It's fine if he doesn't come this time. But if he comes, he will leave his life behind. Zhan Tianqing said coldly. His voice was domineering. Zhan Tianqing's body was as tall as a mountain. On his chest, a rainbow-colored blood pearl shone brightly. It exuded a vast and mysterious power. It made Zhan Tianqing's aura very special. It was as if he had become one with the world. Master is mighty. Zhan 1 and the other 9 knelt down at the same time. They all exuded fanatical worship. Behind Zhan Tianqing, there were 5 golden skeletons. They all looked very helpless. They had been captured by Zhan Tianqing's men before they could investigate the secrets of this world. Senior brother Zhan, only you have the right to control the cyclic sky seal. We are willing to follow you. But why do you have to capture us? We are not a threat to you at all. One of the golden skeletons laughed bitterly. He was also a disciple of the combat god temple. I captured you guys as a precaution. Don't worry. As long as you guys are obedient, I will not harm you. Chapter 1670. Rumble. In the river of forgetfulness, waves surged and mist filled the air. Dazzling light bloomed in an instant. In the middle of the river, there seemed to be a dazzling sun rising, dyeing the entire world in colors. A mysterious flower emerged from the very center of the river of forgetfulness. It was shrouded in a misty nine-colored light. Streaks of light traversed the void. It was mysterious and holy. It was surrounded by mysterious balls of light. There was a kind of mysterious fluctuation of life and death and the impermanence of life and death. In the beginning, it was just a bud. It had not fully bloomed. However, as the world continued to tremble, a vast amount of power gathered within the flower bud, and the flower bud slowly bloomed. The sparkling petals flowed with nine-colored divine light. It was dazzling. From the center of the petals, a rainbow bridge shot out. It floated above the river of forgetfulness and extended towards the riverside. The red spider lily has appeared. Everyone's body trembled, revealing an incomparably excited expression. The auras around the experts from the skeleton clan also became somewhat berserk. Their eyes turned red, and the tribulation seeds emitted incomparably strange fluctuations. Immediately, they began to roar in anger. Roar! 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 Their roars shook the heavens and the earth. They rushed towards the rainbow bridge as if they had gone mad. Rumble! In an instant, a fierce battle broke out. After all, the rainbow bridge was very narrow. It looked like it could only fit one person. All the skeleton experts wanted to step onto the rainbow bridge to pick the red spider lily. Naturally, there was an intense battle. The golden skeletons, diamond skeletons, and purple gold skeleton kings all started a fierce battle. The golden skeletons were basically cannon fodder. Although their strength was not bad, there were too many experts here. Suddenly, a large number of golden skeletons were turned into dust. They were killed, and the calamity seeds danced in all directions. They were dazzling like fireflies. Although the platinum skeletons had the ability to protect themselves, they were still no match for the purple gold skeleton kings. Many of them died at the hands of the purple gold skeleton kings. Only a small number of them managed to escape. However, they still could not get close to the rainbow bridge. The real intense battle was between the purple gold skeleton kings. Their strength was extremely terrifying. No matter if it was speed, strength, or defense, they were all extremely powerful. Moreover, their bodies were often more than 100 feet tall. Every time they collided, it was like a volcanic eruption, causing the earth to tremble and the void to vibrate. The red spider lily has appeared. Everyone, form the 5 elements yin-yang divine dragon formation and kill. Li Qingyun, Pang Gufeng, and Mu Yuanxing roared and rushed out of the mountain range towards the river of forgetfulness like ferocious tigers. Rumble. There were a total of 30 half-saints from the 3 clans. All of them were chanting as they charged toward the skeleton tribe experts, exuding powerful auras. Roar. The dragon's roar shook the heavens. The rainbow divine dragon that was tens of thousands of feet long was vivid and lifelike, exuding an incomparably powerful dragon's might. It was unstoppable, and its strength was incomparably terrifying. With Li Qingyun personally overseeing the battle, in addition to Pang Gufeng, Mu Yuansheng, and other half-saints, this rainbow divine dragon possessed strength comparable to a 9-star purple gold skeleton king. Rumble. As the 7-colored divine dragon swept across, large swathes of skeleton clan experts were instantly killed. Whether it was the golden skeletons, the platinum skeletons, or even some of the weaker purple gold skeleton kings, they were all directly crushed and turned into dust. The tribulation seeds in their eyes drifted out and were swallowed into the belly of the rainbow divine dragon. Ling Xiao sat cross-legged in the center of the formation, protected by everyone. The tribulation seeds that were swallowed by the rainbow divine dragon turned into streams of light and were absorbed by Ling Zhao's tribulation seeds. Ling Zhao's aura grew stronger and stronger. The purple skeleton on his body was crystal clear, flowing with powerful energy fluctuations. He was like a bottomless pit, swallowing all the tribulation seeds that came his way. The human race actually dares to snatch the red spider lily. They don't know the meaning of death. Kill them. A 9-star purple gold skeleton king exuded a terrifying aura, exuding a cold killing intent as he roared. Then, he took the lead and charged toward the rainbow divine dragon. Rumble. Heaven and earth shook. The 9-star purple gold skeleton king had a huge spear in his hand. It collapsed like a heavenly pillar, and he swung it at the rainbow divine dragon. Roar. The rainbow divine dragon roared angrily, and the dragon's aura gushed out. The huge dragon's aura collided with the spear, and the spear was sent flying. Swoosh. 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 Just at this moment, a few more purple gold skeleton kings with powerful auras rushed over, wanting to kill these humans once and for all. However, the 5 elements yin-yang divine dragon formation was very mysterious. Under Li Qingyin's control, it constantly devoured the vast death energy around it. The 7-colored divine dragon could control the 5 elements yin-yang power. Although it was fighting against the purple gold skeleton kings alone, it was not at a disadvantage. It's Long Outyan. At this moment, Zhan Tianqing also discovered the aura of Ling Xiao and the others. You actually colluded with the remnants of Pangu village, Fengshui village, and Tomb King village. You really don't know what's good for you. Zhan Tianqing sneered, and a sharp killing intent radiated from him. Master, are we going to kill them? Zhan Yi and the others asked. No hurry. This Long Outyan can attract everyone's attention for us. Follow me onto the rainbow bridge and get the red spider lily first. Zhan Tianqing said coldly. Whoosh. He leaped into the sky, and a terrifying aura radiated from his body. With a huge bone sword in his hand, he slashed down at the skeleton tribe experts near the rainbow bridge. Boom! The heavens and earth shook, and a huge sword radiance traversed tens of thousands of feet. It directly split a few purple gold skeleton kings near the rainbow bridge in half. Then, like a purple ray of light, he landed on the rainbow bridge directly. Stop them! Buy time for master! Zhan Yi and the others roared. The 9 purple gold skeleton kings followed Zhan Tianqing's footsteps closely. They stood in front of the rainbow bridge and began to block the skeleton tribe experts that were swarming over. Zhan Tianqing. At this moment, Ling Xiao also noticed Zhan Tianqing. He also saw that Zhan Tianqing had already stepped onto the rainbow bridge and was rushing towards the red spider lily. This Zhan Tianqing has already reached the level of a 9-star purple gold skeleton king. As expected of the bloodline of the war tribe. He is blessed by the heavens. However, if you want to get the red spider lily, I'm afraid you're mistaken. Ling Xiao said calmly. His calamity seed had a strange aura, as though it could see through the red spider lily. Chapter 1671. Kill. Pangu Feng and Mu Yuanxing roared at the same time and charged out of the battle formation. One of them held a mountain-splitting axe, while the other held a long rod. Taking advantage of the fact that the rainbow mystical dragon had forced the 2 purple gold skeleton kings back, they sealed off their escape route and shattered their skeletons. Whether it was the mountain-splitting axe in Pangu Feng's hand or the long rod in Mu Yuanxing's hand, they were all supreme treasures. The purple gold skeleton kings' bodies were originally extremely sturdy, but they were unable to withstand the power of these 2 supreme treasures and were killed instantly. The 2 purple gold skeleton kings were 6-star elites. Their calamity seeds were like dazzling suns. They were caught by Ling Xiao in an instant and were devoured directly. Rumble. Ling Xiao's aura was extremely terrifying. He was originally at the peak of 4-star, but now, he had broken through to 5-star. With the heaven-devouring secret technique and the body and talent of the skeleton race, breaking through was as easy as eating and drinking for Ling Xiao. There were no bottlenecks at all. All of you must die. The 9-star purple gold skeleton king was enraged. He had never thought that Pang Gufeng and Mu Yuansheng would be able to kill 2 purple gold skeleton kings right under his nose. Boom! 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 His attacks became more and more violent. Pang Gufeng and Mu Yuansheng were not afraid at all. Wielding the mountain-splitting axe and long rod, they engaged in an intense battle with the 9-star purple gold skeleton king. As for Zhang Tianqing, just as he was about to reach for the red spider lily, he suddenly felt a sense of danger. He did not even hesitate and wanted to leap into the sky. Rumble. At this moment, the rainbow bridge broke apart, and the red spider lily disappeared. In front of Zhang Tianqing was a demonic beast that looked like a fish with a bloody mouth. Its scales were as black as ink, and it gave off a terrifying aura as it bit towards Zhang Tianqing. Bang! Zhang Tianqing punched out, his fist imprint containing the power to destroy everything. It landed on the body of the demonic fish, but Zhang Tianqing could not help but tremble. He felt a powerful devouring force coming towards him, trying to pull him down from the sky. The demonic fish's power was so terrifying that even Zhang Tianqing was wary of it. The most important thing was that the water in the river of forgetfulness was extremely poisonous. Even Zhang Tianqing did not dare to step into it. Zhang Tianqing's body rose up, and the aura around him grew stronger. He broke free of the demonic fish's devouring force and flew towards the river of forgetfulness. At this moment, the skeletons who had set foot on the rainbow bridge were not so lucky. They all fell into the river of forgetfulness and were swept away by the waves, disappearing in an instant. Damn it! Zhang Tianqing felt extremely aggrieved. He had never thought that he would be tricked by a fish demon. Buzz! At this moment, everyone finally saw it clearly. Beside the demonic fish, there was a 9-colored flower floating. It gave off a mysterious aura of life and death. It shone brightly. That was the real red spider lily. However, the red spider lily had not fully bloomed yet. The demonic fish had used the aura of the red spider lily to deceive everyone and almost devoured Zhang Tianqing. Everyone knew that the demonic fish was probably the demonic beast guarding the red spider lily. Roar! The demonic fish leaped out of the river of forgetfulness. Everyone could see the demonic fish's appearance clearly. Its body was as black as ink, covered in menacing scales. It had the head of a fish and the body of a human. Bone spikes protruded from its back, and its eyes were blood-red like will-o'-the-wisps. It let out an ear-piercing roar, causing everyone who heard it to tremble and lose their balance. Its aura was extremely powerful. It was no weaker than the 9-star purple gold skeleton king. Most importantly, this fish demon had the advantage of being in the river of forgetfulness. It could wait at ease for an exhausted enemy. No one dared to enter the river of forgetfulness to fight with it, let alone snatch the red spider lily. Zhang Tianqing looked at the red spider lily behind the demonic fish. It was already showing signs of blooming. If it fully bloomed, it would most likely be devoured by the demonic fish. Zhang Tianqing started to panic. Didn't he put in so much effort to obtain the red spider lily? If the red spider lily was devoured by the demonic fish, then all his efforts would be wasted. Rumble. At that moment, the heavens and earth trembled. Beams of dazzling light descended. The sky seemed to have split open. A mysterious aura that caused everyone to tremble spread. An extremely old figure walked down from the sky. It was an old man with wrinkles all over his face. He wore a luxurious dragon robe and was surrounded by a deathly aura. His life force was extremely weak, but his strength was very strong. In an instant, he intimidated all the experts of the skeleton race. Divine Firmament King. Zhang Tianqing's body trembled. He recognized this old man. The leader of the 9 titled skeleton kings, the Divine Firmament King. After the Divine Firmament King appeared, he only glanced at everyone indifferently. His expression was very indifferent. It was as if he was looking at a group of ants. Finally, his gaze landed on the demonic fish. Evil creature, hand over the red spider lily. I'll spare your life. The divine firmament king said coldly. His blood-red eyes were filled with killing intent. You think you can obtain the red spider lily? Come and fight me if you can. Who would have thought that the demonic fish also had intelligence? It emitted a powerful mental wave. Everyone instantly understood the demonic fish's intentions. The demonic fish was not afraid of the divine firmament king at all. It wanted to fight him. You don't know your place. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. The divine firmament king's voice boomed like thunder. It contained a powerful energy fluctuation. Killing intent flashed in his eyes. He instantly slammed his palm down on the demonic fish. Crack! Purple lightning rose from the divine firmament king's palm. It contained a vast destructive power. It enveloped the river of forgetfulness. He wanted to completely kill the demonic fish. This is the divine firmament destructive lightning Dao. At that moment, Ling Xiao and Zhan Tianqing could not help but tremble. They recognized the martial art that the divine firmament king had used. It was actually the divine firmament destructive lightning Dao. Divine firmament king. The so-called 9 titled skeleton kings are indeed related to Master. It seems that if we want to control the cyclic sky seal, it will fall on them. Ling Xiao thought to himself. He had finally confirmed his guess. Chapter 1672. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled as dazzling light flashed. The divine firmament king controlled the power of lightning, and his body was filled with boundless blood energy. It was as though he could control life and death, and every strike of his contained immense power. The fish demon relied on the geographical advantage of the river of forgetfulness to control the power of reincarnation, and continued to fight against the divine firmament king. For a moment, it was hard to tell who had the upper hand. Kacha! At this moment, the yin-yang divine dragon formation of the 5 elements suddenly erupted with terrifying divine light. In an instant, 7 divine chains of order soared into the sky, containing the power of the 5 elements and yin-yang. They directly wrapped around the 9-star purple gold skeleton king. Roar! The dragon roar shook the heaven and earth. The 7-colored divine dragon was like a long snake, coiling around the 9-star purple gold skeleton king. At the same time, divine light flashed around the 9-star purple gold skeleton king, striking its body continuously. Now's the time. Pangu Feng and Mu Yuanqing's eyes lit up. They instantly soared into the sky, and terrifying energy fluctuations erupted from their bodies as they launched a sure-kill attack towards the 9-star purple gold skeleton king. The mountain-splitting axe shone brightly, containing an unparalleled sharpness. The Tianji pole was invincible, as though it could pierce through the heaven and earth. These 2 supreme treasures were activated by Pangu Feng and Mu Yuansheng, and suppressed the 9-star purple gold skeleton king at the same time. Roar! The 9-star purple gold skeleton king also felt a fatal threat. The purple calamity seed in its eyes shone brightly, and the divine light increased by a few times. It let out an earth-shattering roar, and a deathly divine light storm rose behind it, welcoming the mountain-splitting axe and Tianji pole. Rumble! The heaven and earth trembled, and the void cracked open. Streams of void turbulence swept across the sky, enveloping Pangu Feng, Mu Yuansheng, and the 9-star purple gold skeleton king. Terrifying divine light exploded, and Pangu Feng and Mu Yuansheng were sent flying back. The 9-star purple gold skeleton king was surrounded by purple flames, and its ferocity was monstrous. It roared towards the sky, and its entire body emitted a monstrous killing intent. Half of its body was completely destroyed, and only the upper half of its body was left. However, its aura was increasingly terrifying as it stared at Pangu Feng and Mu Yuansheng. Whoosh! However, at this moment, a dazzling fist shot through the air at an extreme speed. It was suffused with a faint chaotic light. In an instant, it erupted with 10 times the power. Before the 9-star purple gold skeleton king could react, the fist landed on its head. Crack! His head exploded. Even though his skeleton was extremely sturdy, it was still unable to withstand such a terrifying force. Ling Xiao's body glowed with purple light as he used the 5th style of the chaotic 8 styles. His strength increased by tenfold, allowing him to kill the 9-star purple gold skeleton king with a single strike. As for the 2 bright purple calamity seeds, they were swallowed by Ling Xiao in one gulp. Rumble. The aura around Ling Xiao's body became more and more terrifying. His bones seemed to be undergoing some kind of strange transformation. Mysterious runes appeared one after another, causing his aura to skyrocket. The power contained within the 9-star purple gold skeleton king's tribulation seed was too terrifying. 5-star. 6-star. 7-star. In Ling Xiao's eyes, the tribulation seed was as dazzling as the sun. 7 bright stars appeared on it, causing his cultivation to skyrocket. Young friend Long's breakthrough speed is too fast. It's as simple as eating and drinking. Li Qingyun, Pang Gufeng, and Mu Yuansheng were all stunned. Ordinary experts of the skeleton tribe would need a certain amount of time to increase their cultivation, even if they could refine the tribulation seed and comprehend the tribulation energy within. How could they be like Ling Xiao, who could increase his cultivation by a few levels so easily? Long Outyan. You deserve to die. The commotion caused by Ling Xiao killing the 9-star purple gold skeleton king and breaking through had alarmed the surrounding experts of the skeleton clan. Even Zhan Tianqing's attention was drawn to Ling Xiao. He was both shocked and furious. He had never expected Ling Xiao's strength to increase so quickly. It made him feel as though he was losing control. Zhan Tianqing's body was enveloped in a layer of blazing killing intent as he charged towards Ling Xiao. Rumble. Ling Xiao also noticed Zhan Tianqing. Purple divine light rose from his body as he threw a punch at Zhan Tianqing. The 6th style of the chaotic 8 styles exploded. Ling Xiao's strength was 12 times that of a 9-star purple gold skeleton king's. He collided with Zhan Tianqing, causing the world to rumble and the void to tremble. Both of them retreated at the same time. Zhan Tianqing, you can come and kill me, but the hurricane lily will probably fall into the divine firmament king's hands. Ling Xiao said calmly. Huh? Zhan Tianqing was slightly shocked. He immediately saw the fish demon in the river of forgetfulness in the distance. It was as though it would die at the hands of the divine firmament king at any time. After all, the divine firmament king had the battle prowess of a sage. Although the fish demon could use the river of forgetfulness to control the power of reincarnation, its true battle prowess was only comparable to a 9-star purple gold skeleton king. Under the divine firmament king's all-out attack, purple lightning shook the void. It contained a power that could destroy everything. The fish demon was about to be killed at any time. Long Outyan, let's kill the divine firmament king together first. Then we'll fight for the hurricane lily based on our own abilities. How about that? Zhan Tianqing looked at Ling Xiao coldly. He could also tell that Ling Xiao was very powerful. He was afraid that he would not be able to kill Ling Xiao in a short time. Although he had some tricks up his sleeve, he still intended to use them on the divine firmament king. He did not intend to use them now. Zhan Tianqing stared at Ling Xiao. He had also decided that if Ling Xiao did not agree, he would kill Ling Xiao first even if the hurricane lily fell into the divine firmament king's hands. For some reason, Zhan Tianqing felt that Long Outyan was the biggest obstacle to him controlling the cyclic sky seal. Alright. What ideas do you have? Ling Xiao said calmly and directly agreed. Later, help me stall the divine firmament king for 10 breaths. I'll use a mystic technique to severely injure him. Zhan Tianqing stared at Ling Xiao. He was very vicious. He wanted Ling Xiao to stall the divine firmament king because he wanted to see Ling Xiao's true battle prowess. If Ling Xiao was not strong enough and died at the divine firmament king's hands, that would be the best. If Ling Xiao could really stall the Divine Firmament King for 10 breaths, he was confident that he could severely injure or even kill the Divine Firmament King. Zhan Tianqing originally thought that Ling Xiao would not agree so easily and was about to use some other methods. Unexpectedly, Ling Xiao nodded and said, 10 breaths. No problem. Although Zhan Tianqing was shocked, he still looked deeply at Ling Xiao and said, all right. Once the fish demon is dead, you will attack. Rumble. Purple divine light rose from Zhan Tianqing's body. The rainbow blood pearl at his heart started beating like a real heart. It exuded a majestic vitality that filled Zhan Tianqing's entire body. Chapter 1673. Rumble. The Divine Firmament King's palm came crashing down. The terrifying palm print contained blazing lightning. The fish demon roared furiously as it sensed the threat hidden in the palm print. It wanted to escape back into the river of forgetfulness without hesitation. However, a mysterious force froze it in the void. The fish demon's eyes were filled with terror. It could not even roar before it was smashed into dust by the Divine Firmament King's palm. At that moment, Zhan Tianqing's terrifying killing intent locked onto the Divine Firmament King. Oh! You're courting death. The Divine Firmament King's eyes were extremely cold. He actually felt a sense of unease from Zhan Tianqing. Without hesitation, he controlled the lightning in the sky and charged toward Zhan Tianqing. Stop him. I need 10 breaths. Zhan Tianqing roared. His hands started forming seals rapidly as blood-red light rose around him. He exuded a very strange aura. Half of him was filled with the aura of death, while the other half was filled with vitality. They seemed to be trying their best to merge into one. However, if one could comprehend the cycle of life and death, they would naturally be able to become a sage. Zhan Tianqing naturally had not comprehended the cycle of life and death. He only wanted to use this power to cause as much damage as possible. Leave it to me. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a hint of seriousness as terrifying power rose around him. He directly used the 6th style of the chaotic 8 styles. His strength increased by 12 times, causing his fist to have an extremely terrifying energy fluctuation. Rumble. Ling Xiao and the Divine Firmament King collided. Instantly, a sky full of lightning descended. Death and vitality intertwined. The chaotic power of reincarnation seemed to want to turn everything into dust. Ling Xiao instantly felt the terrifying power from the Divine Firmament King. It was like a brilliant heavenly might that he could not resist. Crack! One of Ling Xiao's arms was blasted into smithereens, and he was sent flying by the Divine Firmament King. Blazing lightning enveloped him. If not for his strong bones, he would have been completely shattered. Ant! Die! The Divine Firmament King said coldly. He did not even look at Ling Xiao as he was about to attack Zhan Tianqing. Rumble! At that moment, Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness flashed with a dazzling light. Instantly, the heavenly Tao Primal Chaos Tablet flew out and expanded in the sky. It was like an immemorial mountain, crashing down on King Divine Firmament. When Ling Xiao broke through to the purple gold skeleton king realm, he finally broke the seal on the wordless heavenly book. Ling Xiao had previously hidden the heavenly Tao Primal Chaos Tablet in the wordless heavenly book. Hence, he could completely summon this supreme holy treasure. This brat is indeed not ordinary. To actually be able to bring in a flawless holy treasure. Zhan Tianqing's eyes flashed. The light between his hands grew brighter and brighter. As the rainbow blood droplet's power was depleted, a ray of primordial light that could illuminate 3,000 worlds appeared in his palms. For the red spider lily, I'll do it. However, Long Outyen, so what if you have a perfect holy artifact? You are still no match for the Divine Firmament King. Zhan Tianqing sneered in his heart. He was planning to attack after Ling Xiao was severely injured by the Divine Firmament King. He did not think that Ling Xiao could withstand more than a few moves from the Divine Firmament King. A flawless holy artifact. This treasure is not bad. I will gladly accept it. The Divine Firmament King's eyes also lit up, revealing a blazing light. He punched at the heavenly Tao Primal Chaos tablet. Crack! The void trembled, and cracks appeared. The heavenly Tao Primal Chaos tablet trembled violently and was instantly sent flying. The Divine Firmament King's battle prowess was comparable to a sage's. Even a flawless holy artifact was no match for him. However, the heavenly Tao Primal Chaos tablet's power was extremely terrifying. It caused the Divine Firmament King to tremble and involuntarily take a few steps back. Kill! Ling Xiao's aura became more and more terrifying. He roared and directly soared into the sky. He grabbed the huge heavenly Tao Primal Chaos tablet and once again used the power of the chaotic 8 styles to suppress the Divine Firmament King. 6 breaths had already passed, but Zhan Tianqing still did not show any signs of attacking. Ling Xiao sneered in his heart. He had already guessed Zhan Tianqing's plan. Rumble! Lightning flashed behind the Divine Firmament King. The purple lightning was as thick as a mountain. As he slammed his palm down on the heavenly Tao Primal Chaos tablet again, Ling Xiao's other arm also exploded. He was sent flying, and his aura became extremely weak. Scram! The Divine Firmament King roared coldly. Then, he stomped down like a celestial thearcha's foot, wanting to shatter the earth. His aura was monstrous as he stomped on the heavenly Tao Primal Chaos tablet. Instantly, Ling Xiao and the heavenly Tao Primal Chaos tablet both stepped into the river of forgetfulness. Huge waves surged into the sky, and the divine light was dazzling. The scene was extremely shocking. Meanwhile, the Divine Firmament King charged toward Zhan Tianqing. Even if that Long-Out Yen is not dead, he should be severely injured, right? After entering the river of forgetfulness, anyone below the title of Skeleton King will definitely die. The Hurricane Lily is destined to be mine. Zhan Tianqing muttered to himself coldly. In an instant, the dazzling Genesis light between his hands bloomed and shot toward the Divine Firmament King. Instantly, halos appeared in the sky, filled with the power of life and death. It was as if they were going to pull the Divine Firmament King into the cycle of reincarnation. What? The Divine Firmament King was both shocked and furious. His eyes were filled with disbelief as he roared continuously. He felt as if he had sunk into mud. That mysterious light was sucking away the vitality in his body, making him feel like he was about to die. After all, the Divine Firmament King did not have much time left. This time, he was snatching the Hurricane Lily to prolong his life. However, Zhan Tianqing actually had such means to suck away the vitality and lifespan in his body. This made the Divine Firmament King's expression change drastically. Terrifying sage aura spread out from his body, and in an instant, an extremely powerful force erupted. He wanted to break through that strange halo and escape from it. Divine Firmament King. Just die obediently. Zhan Tianqing sneered. His lips curled into a cruel smile. He instantly activated the rainbow blood bead in his heart, causing the mysterious halo to burn even brighter. It was as if it was going to imprison the Divine Firmament King within it. The rainbow blood pearl's power gradually dimmed and also became smaller. Although Zhan Tianqing was extremely pained, he also knew that in order to obtain the Hurricane Lily, he had to pay the price. Rumble. At that moment, the Hurricane Lily completely bloomed. Chapter 1674. All the powerful beings of the skeleton race went crazy at that moment. Blazing light shot out from their eyes, and the aura around them became extremely terrifying. They let out angry roars and charged into the river of forgetfulness as if they had gone mad. It was as if the Hurricane Lily had a fatal attraction to them. The Hurricane Lily is mine. Zhan Tianqing's eyes were blazing. He exuded a terrifying aura as he charged towards the red spider lily. Now that the Divine Firmament King was trapped, the fish demon had been killed, and Ling Xiao had fallen into the river of forgetfulness, no one could compete with Zhan Tianqing for the Hurricane Lily. He neared the Hurricane Lily and saw that mysterious flower emitting 9-colored light. It was almost within his reach. Zhan Tianqing's eyes shone with a hint of intoxication as he reached out to grab the Hurricane Lily. Buzz! But at that moment, the hurricane lily trembled slightly. Zhan Tianqing saw a purple palm reach out from the river of forgetfulness, grab the hurricane lily, and pull it into the river of forgetfulness. No! Zhan Tianqing roared, his eyes filled with madness and terrifying killing intent. He slammed his palm into the river of forgetfulness. Rumble! Heaven and earth trembled as the river of forgetfulness exploded. Huge waves surged into the sky, but the hurricane lily was nowhere to be seen. Long Out Yen. I know it's you. I will not let you off. I will make you beg for death. Ah! Zhan Tianqing's voice was filled with endless killing intent and indignation. He was about to go crazy. His voice was like thunder, causing the river water to explode. Crack! At that moment, the Divine Firmament King's terrifying sage aura exploded. He broke free from the blazing halo, his eyes filled with cold killing intent as he charged toward Zhan Tianqing. Zhan Tianqing's expression changed. He could feel the Divine Firmament King's insane killing intent and instantly felt that something was amiss. He could not be bothered to find trouble with Ling Xiao. Instead, he instantly transformed into a stream of light and flew into the distance. I want to see who dares to snatch my hurricane lily. The Divine Firmament King did not chase after Zhan Tianqing. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he plunged into the river of forgetfulness, searching for the hurricane lily's aura. Just now. Was it Long Out Yen who snatched the hurricane lily? Li Qingyun, Pang Gufeng, and Mu Yuanqing looked at each other. Previously, when Ling Xiao had been kicked into the river of forgetfulness by the Divine Firmament King, they had all been extremely anxious. After all, the river of forgetfulness contained the power of the samsara of life and death. Only the 9 titled skeleton kings could enter it safely. Even a 9-star purple gold skeleton king would be reduced to nothingness after entering it. That was why Zhan Tianqing was so mad and indignant when the red spider lily disappeared. Even he didn't dare to rush into the river of forgetfulness. He could only watch as the red spider lily was snatched away before his eyes. Pang Gufeng was shocked and worried. The Divine Firmament King was extremely powerful, and he was the leader of the 9 titled skeleton kings. It was only because he was nearing the end of his lifespan that he came today to fight for the hurricane lily. He would definitely not watch as the hurricane lily fell into Ling Xiao's hands. Let's hope Long Out Yen will be blessed. Mu Yuanqing said with a wry smile. Long Out Yen is someone with great luck and fortuitous opportunities. He will not die so easily. We should not stay here for long. Let's return to Fengshui village first. Li Qingyun said slowly. With the disappearance of the hurricane lily, the skeleton race elite seemed to be on the verge of going berserk. It was easy to imagine that a huge battle was about to break out. And if they, the humans, stayed here, they would most likely become the target of public criticism. Li Qingyun, Pang Gufeng, and Mu Yuanqing led the elites of the 3 races and quickly retreated from the river of forgetfulness, heading for Fengshui village. Rumble. Sure enough, not long after they left, the experts of the skeleton clan started a fierce and chaotic battle. In the river of forgetfulness, Ling Xiao's entire body was enveloped by a layer of mysterious light. His purple bones had already recovered to their original state. The Permitha flower was held in his hand, and it contained a power that was fluctuating between life and death and the cycle of reincarnation. Is this the hurricane lily? I finally got it. Ling Xiao sighed softly, a trace of excitement in his eyes. He and Zhan Tianqing had been scheming against each other previously. He knew that Zhan Tianqing wanted him to fight for 10 breaths of time so that he and the Divine Firmament King would both be injured. Or rather, he wanted him to die at the hands of the Divine Firmament King. Ling Xiao had played along. After revealing some of his trump cards, he had pretended to be exhausted and injured, allowing the Divine Firmament King to beat him into the river of forgetfulness. The river of forgetfulness's water could corrode everything, but Ling Xiao could use the power of the wordless heavenly book to temporarily protect his bones so that he would not melt into the river of forgetfulness. When the red spider lily was in full bloom, Ling Xiao silently snatched the red spider lily away and fled, leaving behind Zhang Tianxing, who was about to go crazy. It could be said that Ling Xiao had tricked Zhang Tianxing. The hurricane lily involves the secret of breaking through to the titled Skeleton King. I'm already halfway there. I have to refine the hurricane lily as soon as possible, then find the 9 titled Skeleton Kings and obtain the secret of controlling the cyclic sky seal from them. Ling Xiao thought to himself as he held the hurricane lily. Swoosh! But at that moment, the river of forgetfulness's water surged violently. An extremely terrifying aura rapidly approached, exuding a vast sage aura. Oh no! Looks like Zhang Tianxing did not kill the divine firmament king. Ling Xiao's body trembled. He grabbed the hurricane lily and sneaked into the depths of the river of forgetfulness. Inheritor, hand over the hurricane lily in your hand. Not only will I spare your life, but I will also bestow upon you a great fortuitous opportunity. If you dare to disobey my orders, you will die a terrible death. The divine firmament king's voice came from behind. It was cold and murderous. Ling Xiao did not reply at all and continued forward. Rumble. However, the divine firmament king's speed was extremely fast. He was like a fish in water in the river of forgetfulness. The water on both sides quickly parted, and he quickly arrived behind Ling Xiao. Then, he slammed his palm toward Ling Xiao. Blazing lightning flashed. The purple heaven divine lightning contained the power to destroy everything. In the divine firmament king's hand, the divine firmament destructive lightning Dao exploded with an extremely powerful force, enveloping Ling Xiao in front. Whoosh! The heavenly Dao chaotic tablet was taken out by Ling Xiao. In an instant, it split into 9 pieces, shining with unparalleled light. It protected Ling Xiao's body and blocked the divine firmament king's palm. Those lightning flashes were blocked by the heavenly Dao chaotic tablet, but the unparalleled force of the palm still sent Ling Xiao flying. What a powerful force! Chapter 1675. Rumble. Ling Xiao borrowed the power of the divine firmament king's palm strike and flew a distance away. However, the divine firmament king's speed was too fast. He had the battle prowess of a sage and could suppress Ling Xiao in all aspects. If this continued, Ling Xiao would be doomed. Divine Firmament King, if you dare to attack me again, do you believe that I will swallow the hurricane lily? Ling Xiao said coldly as he grabbed the hurricane lily. Swallow the hurricane lily? With your current cultivation level, you're courting death if you dare to swallow the hurricane lily. Besides, if you dare to swallow the hurricane lily, I'll just refine you. The hurricane lily's medicinal power won't be lost much. Kid, if you don't want to die, hand it over obediently. The divine firmament king said coldly as his aura became more and more terrifying. Although he said that he was not afraid of Ling Xiao swallowing the hurricane lily, Ling Xiao could tell that the divine firmament king did not want to force him too much. He probably did not want him to swallow the hurricane lily. Is that so? Ling Xiao smiled coldly as he grabbed the hurricane lily. His glabella shone brightly as he activated the sky-devouring mystic technique. It turned into a blazing vortex and swallowed the hurricane lily in an instant. Rumble. A vast and terrifying force surged into Ling Xiao's body like a tsunami. It was terrifying beyond compare, as if it was going to burst Ling Xiao. Even his bones were making crackling sounds. You! How dare you swallow the hurricane lily? Damn it! I'll definitely kill you. The divine firmament king's eyes were filled with disbelief. He did not expect Ling Xiao to swallow the hurricane lily right in front of him. Moreover, he could feel the vast medicinal power of the hurricane lily exploding in Ling Xiao's body, causing Ling Xiao's aura to skyrocket. Rumble. 8-star purple gold skeleton king. In just a moment, Ling Xiao's cultivation level rose from 7 stars to 8 stars, and it was still rising. The divine firmament king was completely enraged. Lightning flashed around his body, and an ancient purple sword appeared in his hand. It was blazing and vast. In an instant, it moved horizontally and horizontally, slashing towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao could feel that the ancient purple sword in the Divine Firmament King's hand was also a flawless sage treasure. Clearly, the Divine Firmament King was completely enraged. He did not hesitate to use a flawless sage treasure to kill Ling Xiao. Rumble. Ling Xiao felt a fatal danger and did not hesitate to send the 9 primal chaos tablets out. The tablets shown Divine Firmament King formed the Divine Firmament Primal Chaos King Xiao. They formed a mysterious connection with each other as they clashed with the ancient purple gold Firmament King. However, the Divine Firmament King's strength was too terrifying. Every collision caused Ling Xiao's body to tremble violently. Unparalleled divine power assaulted him, almost causing his entire body to shatter. However, as the power of the red spider lily bloomed in Ling Xiao's body, Ling Xiao's cultivation level began to rise rapidly. Very quickly, he broke through to the limit of 8 stars. 9-star purple gold skeleton king. 1 red spider lily had caused Ling Xiao's strength to soar. He had reached the 9-star purple gold skeleton king realm, and it was still rising. Ling Xiao could feel that the red spider lily contained the power of the Tao of Death. It formed a mysterious fluctuation with the vast vitality in his body. It was like the aura of the cycle of life and death. Kacha. In Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness, there seemed to be some kind of energy blooming. A mysterious and ethereal rune floated up, containing a profound and mysterious light, completely absorbing the vast amount of energy from the Permitha flower. This is the art of reversing fate. Ling Xiao's body shook. He couldn't believe it. He didn't think that the fate-reversing art would break out at this time. The obscure and mysterious scripture fused with his sea of knowledge and even his body. A mysterious aura of fate and reincarnation reverberated from Ling Xiao's body. The 4th move of the art of reversing fate, reversing reincarnation. In Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness, there seemed to be the sound of a great bell ringing. It was also like the brilliant sound of the heavenly emperor. Suddenly, a mysterious scripture appeared, and Ling Xiao was able to master it in an instant. Ling Xiao had only learned 3 moves of the art of reversing fate: shatter fate, burn life, and defy fate. But he did not expect that after Ling Xiao devoured and refined the red spider lily, he would learn the 4th move of the art of reversing fate: reverse reincarnation. This move was mysterious. It was as if it could reverse life and death, break the cycle of reincarnation, and cause billions of lives in the world to reincarnate under this move. It was terrifying. Buzz. Mysterious runes flashed in Ling Xiao's palms, and his body exuded an ethereal and mysterious aura. Then, he pushed his palms forward, and a mysterious and vast world of 3,000 daos appeared behind him. The cycle of life and death turned into a mysterious light, enveloping King Divine Firmament. This is Master's aura. Who are you? The Divine Firmament King was completely shocked. His eyes were filled with disbelief. The dazzling light enveloped him, causing the Divine Firmament King's soul to leave his body. A mysterious mark appeared between his eyebrows. At that moment, it became dazzling and intertwined with the light, forming a mysterious millstone. The Divine Firmament King's scalp went numb. He felt as if as long as the millstone spun, he would be completely destroyed. There was no way he could resist at all. Master's aura. You mean Scarlet Dragon War God? Ling Xiao looked at the Divine Firmament King indifferently. The aura around him became even more mysterious and unfathomable. That's right. It's the Great Heavenly Venerable. He is the master of the cyclic sky seal and the master of the 9 of us. Why do you have Master's aura? Seeing Ling Xiao stop, the Divine Firmament King heaved a sigh of relief. Scarlet Dragon War God is my master. Ling Xiao said indifferently. The Divine Firmament King's body trembled. A bitter smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. As expected. 1,000,000 years have passed. Although Master has not returned, his successor has. Greetings, young Master. The Divine Firmament King kowtowed deeply to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao could see that there was a dragon-shaped mark between the Divine Firmament King's eyebrows. Ling Xiao could control the Divine Firmament King's mark with the fourth move of the fate-reversing art and control his life and death. As long as Ling Xiao willed it, the Divine Firmament King would be completely destroyed. I see. The fourth move of the fate-reversing art is the key to controlling the 9 titled skeleton kings? Ling Xiao thought to himself. It turned out that the fate-reversing art he had obtained was not complete. There was still a fourth move hidden in the Hurricane Lily. Only by obtaining the Hurricane Lily could the fate-reversing art be complete and control the Divine Firmament King's life and death. The Divine Firmament King was probably unwilling to accept it, but now that the situation had reversed and his life was in Ling Xiao's hands, he could only bow his head and obey. Chapter 1676. Ling Xiao's primordial spirit and the wordless book had been sealed in the tribulation seed. When Ling Xiao broke through to the purple gold skeleton king realm, he had broken the seal. That was why he could use the power of the wordless book and the heavenly Tao chaotic tablet. And now, after fusing with the Hurricane Lily, the vast Death Tao origin had fused with Ling Xiao's primordial spirit. At the same time, Ling Xiao had completely obtained the fate-reversing technique sealed in the Hurricane Lily. Originally, Ling Xiao had felt that the fate-reversing technique was difficult to understand and extremely difficult to cultivate. He also had to pay a huge price to use it. But with the completion of the fourth move, Reverse Samsara, the 4 moves of the fate-reversing technique seemed to have formed a complete and balanced state. This allowed Ling Xiao's understanding of the fate-reversing technique to increase by leaps and bounds. Ling Xiao now realized how vast and profound the fate-reversing technique was. What he had previously comprehended was only the tip of the iceberg. That was why he had to pay such a huge price to forcefully activate the fate-reversing technique. And the dragon mark between the Divine Firmament King's brows was left behind by the Scarlet Dragon War God. Using the fate-reversing technique, he could control the Divine Firmament King's life and death. If Ling Xiao guessed correctly, the other 8 kings probably also had the mark left behind by the Scarlet Dragon War God. So my greatest advantage is actually the fate-reversing technique. Ling Xiao thought to himself. The Scarlet Dragon War God had not mentioned controlling the cyclic sky seal because he had not obtained the fourth move of the fate-reversing technique. The fourth move of the fate-reversing technique could kill sages. After all, even sages could not escape the cycle of life and death. They were still under the heavenly Tao and could not transcend. Young master, you entered the cyclic sky seal this time to control it, right? Asked the Divine Firmament King. That's right. Do you know how to control the cyclic sky seal? Asked Ling Xiao calmly. Young master, the cyclic sky seal's artifact spirit is second heavenly venerable. Now that second heavenly venerable has disappeared, the 9 titled skeleton kings can also control part of the cyclic sky seal's power. As long as the 9 titled skeleton kings submit and open the fate-reversing palace, you will naturally be able to control of the cyclic sky seal. However, I'm afraid the other 8 kings will not be willing to submit to you just like that. Said the Divine Firmament King. Why is that? Don't tell me they don't have the dragon mark. Ling Xiao asked. The red dragon mark was the dragon-shaped mark on the Divine Firmament King's forehead. The Divine Firmament King laughed bitterly and said, Young master, there's something you don't know. Although the Crimson Dragon mark is very powerful, we 9 great kings possess the power of saints. It's only because my lifespan is nearing its end that I am unable to suppress the Crimson Dragon mark. However, the other 8 great kings don't have a lifespan limit. They can suppress the Crimson Dragon mark. If young master wants to rely on the Crimson Dragon mark to control their life and death, I'm afraid it will be very difficult. It turned out that the 9 titled skeleton kings only had the strength of a 9th revolution half-sage a million years ago. However, the flipping sky seal was not controlled by anyone in the past million years. Moreover, it was devouring the endless energy of heaven and earth on its own, causing the 9 titled skeleton kings' strength to increase continuously. Although they were not in the sage realm, their strength was not weaker than a sage's. As a result, the suppression of the Crimson Dragon mark on them was naturally very weak. However, the Divine Firmament King was just too unlucky. He was already at the end of his lifespan and had been severely injured by Zhang Tianqing. Thus, when Ling Xiao awakened the fourth move of the fate-reversing art, he was unable to resist at all. I see. I didn't expect that after 1,000,000 years, the 9 titled skeleton kings would have such a huge change. Ling Xiao's heart trembled slightly. These 9 titled skeleton kings were comparable to sages. If the Divine Firmament King had not been restrained by the fate-reversing art, he would not have been so willing to submit to Ling Xiao. After all, they were used to being tyrannical in this world. Why would they want another master to appear above them? However, since they were artifact spirits, there were ways to restrain them. Especially now that Ling Xiao had obtained the Hurricane Lily, he could comprehend the death Tao within it. Young master, although everyone knows that you have obtained the Hurricane Lily, they don't know that I have already submitted to you. We can defeat them one by one. Young master, if I can devour all 8 of them, then I can become the new artifact spirit of the Flipping Sky Seal. At that time, I will definitely be able to help Master control the Flipping Sky Seal," said the Divine Firmament King respectfully. "Very good. Divine Firmament King, as long as you are loyal to me, after killing the 8 of them, you will be the new artifact spirit of the Flipping Sky Seal." Ling Xiao smiled faintly. "Master, don't worry. I will be loyal to you. I will not hesitate to die." The Divine Firmament King quickly knelt down to show his loyalty. "Master, this Divine Firmament King is dishonest. I don't think he wants to submit to you. He wants to devour the other 8 titled skeleton kings and control the Flipping Sky Seal." At that moment, the Thunder Spirit King's voice rang in Ling Xiao's mind. How can I not think of that? However, let's ignore him for now. Let's capture the other 8 titled skeleton kings first. Thunder Spirit King, you are an artifact spirit. Even if you possess a physical body, it will be extremely difficult for you to become a sage. Even if you are lucky enough to succeed, I'm afraid you will not be able to improve for the rest of your life. There is a very good opportunity now. Perhaps you can become a dragon in the sea and have a limitless future. Are you willing to give it a try? Ling Xiao said to the Thunder Spirit King secretly. Master is saying, to become an artifact spirit? The Thunder Spirit King's eyes lit up, and he instantly became excited. That's right. You also know that it is very difficult to become an artifact spirit as it has a very high requirement for the material of the weapon and the talent of the artifact spirit. However, your talent is strong enough and your future is limitless. I'm afraid you have seen the Flipping Sky Seal. It can form its own world and its own rules of Tao. This is not something that an ordinary holy treasure can possess. If you become the artifact spirit of the Flipping Sky Seal, your divine path will be smooth. Even becoming an extreme emperor in the future will not be impossible. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Thank you, Master. I am willing to become an artifact spirit. The Thunder Spirit King immediately said excitedly. He was indeed tempted. The Flipping Sky Seal was an ancient treasure. It was at least at the level of a supreme holy treasure. There was even a chance for it to become an extreme emperor weapon. As the artifact spirit of the Flipping Sky Seal, the Thunder Spirit King would definitely be able to advance by leaps and bounds with the Flipping Sky Seal. If he could become the artifact spirit of an extreme emperor weapon, his power would not be inferior to a real great emperor. It could be said that this was a smooth path, even a smooth path to becoming an emperor. One day, if the Thunder Spirit King could break the destiny of being an artifact spirit and reverse the reincarnation of the heavenly Tao, he could even get rid of the restraint of the weapon and become a real peerless great emperor. In the ancient times, there were examples of weapons becoming great emperors. Great! Now, let's go and capture the 8 titled skeleton kings and gather their power to open the fate-reversing palace. As long as the fate-reversing palace is opened, you will be able to devour their power and become the artifact spirit of the Flipping Sky Seal. Chapter 1677. The Thunder Spirit King was different from the Divine Firmament King. The Divine Firmament King had to obey Ling Xiao's orders because of the red dragon mark between his brows. However, the Thunder Spirit King was completely under Ling Xiao's control. He even left a trace of his true spirit in the wordless book. Even if the Thunder Spirit King became a sage one day, he would not betray Ling Xiao. Thus, letting the Thunder Spirit King become the cyclic sky seal's artifact spirit was the best choice. Ling Xiao did not choose to leave immediately. Instead, he cultivated in seclusion in the river of forgetfulness. The red spider lilies contained the power of the Death Tao origin. However, this world was only the internal space of the cyclic sky seal. The heavenly Tao laws were not complete. It was basically impossible to attain the Tao and become a sage and condense a Tao fruit here. However, Ling Xiao could possess the combat strength of a sage like the 9 titled skeleton kings. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled. The vast power of reincarnation rose from the river of forgetfulness. Ling Xiao sat cross-legged in the river of forgetfulness. Mysterious auras intertwined around him, forming mysterious halos behind him. Life, death, withering, and glory. A mysterious concept was emitted from his body. Ling Xiao's aura became more and more terrifying. It had far exceeded the power of the 9-star purple gold skeleton kings. It became more and more unfathomable. Damn it! That long-out yen dared to snatch my hurricane lily. He really deserves to die. However, the Divine Firmament King has already chased him into the river of forgetfulness. He will not be able to escape from the Divine Firmament King. He will definitely die. Without the Hurricane Lily, with my current strength, there is no way I can open the core area. In the majestic and ancient palace, Zhan Tianqing sat on a huge throne. His eyes were filled with indignation and anger. He had painstakingly planned to obtain the Hurricane Lily and then open the core area to find a way to control the cyclic sky seal. However, now that he had lost the Hurricane Lily, everything was for naught. Whether it was Ling Xiao or the Divine Firmament King who had obtained the Hurricane Lily, it was not good news to him. Zhan Tianqing indeed had the bloodline of the battle tribe. The drop of rainbow blood in his heart was the bloodline of the battle tribe. Zhan Tianqing had learned about the secret of the flipping sky seal from his inherited memories. Especially after coming to this world, he understood the mystery and power of the flipping sky seal even more. The heaven flipping seal was not as simple as a holy treasure. Zhan Tianqing wanted to revive the war race and even take revenge on the culprit who had caused the war race's destruction. He had to get the sky flipping seal. The red spider lily has already been lost. The 9 great kings were fighting their own battles, and it was impossible for them to work together to open the core area. Right now, the only thing we can do is to sacrifice the 7 of them. Then, we will exhaust our battle clan bloodline and see if we can open that place. Zhan Tianqing thought to himself with a deep gaze. Fortunately, during the chaotic battle at the Wangchuan River, his 7 subordinates had caught Gung Long and Gung Hu when the people of Fengshui Village, Panga Village, and Tomb King Village were unprepared. Now, apart from Ling Xiao, 7 of the 9 great inheritors had been captured by Zhan Tianqing. There's no time to lose. We need to act quickly. Zhan Tianqing thought to himself as a sharp glint appeared in his eyes. Taishao's Sacred Mountain. The mountain was tens of thousands of feet tall and connected the heavens and the earth. Its aura was majestic and unparalleled, and it was filled with a thick aura of death. It was the cave abode of the Taishao King, one of the 9 great titled skeleton kings. A huge palace was built at the top of Taishao's Sacred Mountain. The guards outside the palace were all purple gold skeleton kings. Each of them was hundreds of feet tall and had an extremely powerful aura. Their bones were sparkling and radiant, and they exuded a monstrous aura of death. Powerful skeleton race elites were everywhere on Taishao's Sacred Mountain. The black iron skeletons, bronze skeletons, and silver skeletons were not qualified to set foot on Taishao's Sacred Mountain. They could only wander around. The gold skeletons and platinum skeletons were just small soldiers guarding Taishao's Sacred Mountain. Only the purple gold skeleton kings were considered generals. The Taishao king had been in seclusion for many years, and his subordinates were still guarding outside loyally. The entire Taishao sacred mountain was heavily guarded, and no one dared to barge in. Is this Taishao sacred mountain? It is indeed extraordinary. Ling Xiao and the divine firmament king stood together in the clouds, looking at the majestic Taishao sacred mountain in front of them. That's right. This is the grand firmament sacred mountain. The grand firmament king has been in seclusion for many years. Even the appearance of the red spider lily did not make him come out. Master, this time, we will pretend to be here for a visit. Follow me, and we will catch the grand firmament king by surprise. The divine firmament king said with a hint of excitement in his eyes. The 9 titled skeleton kings guarded the world of death, but it could be said that they did not trust each other. Moreover, they all wanted to devour each other and become the only ruler of this world. It was only because the 9 of them were equally powerful that no one could do anything about it. That was why they had maintained this state for so many years. All right. I'll leave it to you. Ling Xiao said calmly. The aura around him became faint, and his bones still emitted a purple light. However, the star between his eyebrows had become a single star. The sky-shrouding secret technique perfectly concealed Ling Xiao's aura. Even the divine firmament king could not sense Ling Xiao's true cultivation level and strength. Brother Taishao, the divine firmament king is here. Are you still planning to stay in seclusion? The divine firmament king's figure appeared in the sky above Taishao's sacred mountain. His voice exploded like thunder, causing all the skeleton race experts on Taishao's sacred mountain to tremble involuntarily. They immediately stared at the divine firmament king with great vigilance. Rumble. However, when the divine firmament king exuded a vast and unparalleled aura as if he was an invincible king, even the purple gold skeleton king could not help but tremble. It was so frightened that it knelt down. They all knew that one of the 9 greatest rulers of this world had arrived. On Taishao's sacred mountain, all the skeleton race experts knelt down. This was the suppression of the skeleton race's level. Even the purple gold skeleton king was trembling all over at this moment, exuding waves of fear. Ling Xiao followed behind the divine firmament king with a strange look in his eyes. Fortunately, he was a successor and a human, so the so-called level suppression of the skeleton race did not have much effect on him. Otherwise, he would probably be forced to kneel down and submit to the divine firmament king without even fighting him. Rumble. On Taishao's sacred mountain, the huge palace suddenly opened, and a middle-aged man in a yellow Taoist robe walked out. He looked tall and handsome, and a mysterious light flickered in his eyes. It was like the black-yellow chi, mysterious and unfathomable. This was the divine firmament king. He cultivated the black-yellow sacred path. Looks like it's really one of the 9 peerless sacred techniques of the War God Temple. Chapter 1678. So it's Brother Divine Firmament. I heard that you went to the River of Forgetfulness to fight for the Hurricane Lily. What brings you to my Grand Firmament Sacred Mountain? The Grand Firmament King smiled faintly as a strange light flashed in his eyes. I came to the Grand Firmament Sacred Mountain because I have something to discuss with Brother Divine Firmament. This time, I did not manage to obtain the Hurricane Lily in the River of Forgetfulness. It was taken by an inheritor. The Divine Firmament King stared at the Grand Firmament King as he spoke slowly. What? An inheritor? What's going on? The Grand Firmament King's expression became serious, and he could not hide the shock in his eyes. It's a long story, but our great calamity is coming. The Divine Firmament King laughed bitterly. Then, he landed on the peak of the Grand Firmament Sacred Mountain with the Divine Firmament King. Ling Xiao followed behind the Divine Firmament King. However, he had used the sky-shrouding secret technique, so he was only a 1-star purple gold skeleton king. Even his aura as an inheritor had been concealed, so the Divine Firmament King only looked at him in confusion. What is the great calamity? Brother Divine Firmament, please enlighten me. The Grand Firmament King was indeed attracted by the Divine Firmament King's words. Buzz! The dragon-shaped mark on the Grand Firmament King's forehead emitted a bright light. It was mysterious and unfathomable, causing the Grand Firmament King's expression to change drastically as if he had seen a ghost. You're right. This time, I met an inheritor in the River of Forgetfulness. He took the Hurricane Lily because he is not an ordinary inheritor. He is a true disciple of a great heavenly venerate. In other words, he is our young master. I managed to escape from him with great difficulty, so I immediately rushed to the Grand Firmament Sacred Mountain to discuss this matter with you. The Divine Firmament King said solemnly. A true disciple of a great heavenly venerate? How is this possible? The great heavenly venerate has been missing for millions of years. Over the years, countless inheritors have been wiped out by us. How could a young master appear at this time? Brother Divine Firmament, how strong is that inheritor? Why don't we gather the 9 of you and kill him together? The Grand Firmament King's eyes revealed a cold killing intent. That young master's strength is extremely terrifying. I'm not his match. Most importantly, he can control our Scarlet Dragon mark. Although our strength has greatly improved and we can temporarily suppress the Scarlet Dragon mark, when we face that young master, we will inevitably be greatly restrained. We must think of a foolproof plan. The Divine Firmament King said seriously. What foolproof plan? Fellow Daoist Divine Firmament, you are the oldest and most knowledgeable. We will listen to you. The Great Firmament King said fearfully. When he mentioned the young master, his mind was in a mess. I killed a successor and obtained a treasure from him. Perhaps it can help us kill that young master. Take a look. The Divine Firmament King smiled. His palm glowed brightly, and an ancient stone tablet floated in the air, exuding an ancient, profound, and mysterious aura. What treasure is this? High Firmament King's eyes were attracted to the stone tablet. He reached out his hand to touch it. Rumble. But at that moment, the stone tablet suddenly trembled and emitted a vast chaotic light. At an extremely fast speed, it directly smashed into the Great Firmament King's body. The Great Firmament King's body was covered in a vast yellow light that contained an unparalleled defensive power. When he sensed danger, he instantly activated it. Divine Firmament, what are you trying to do? The Great Firmament King was shocked and angry as he immediately roared. But the Heavenly Tao Chaotic Tablet was too fast, and it was very close to the Great Firmament King. It directly smashed into his body and shattered the yellow light on his body. Then, the Great Firmament King was smashed to the ground. Buzz! The Heavenly Tao Chaotic Tablet instantly split into 9. The 9 Heavenly Tao Chaotic Tablets intertwined with each other, forming a mysterious and vast array formation that enveloped the Great Firmament King. Rumble! The Divine Firmament King's eyes flashed. He grabbed the ancient purple sword, and lightning crackled around him. Without a word, he launched a thunderous attack toward the Great Firmament King. At the same time, Ling Xiao also made his move. The Chaotic 8 Styles was completely activated by Ling Xiao, and his strength exploded 16 times. Ling Xiao's body exuded a destructive aura as he directly smashed a chaotic fist toward the Great Firmament King. The two of them attacked as fast as lightning, and they were extremely well coordinated. At that moment, the Great Firmament King was smashed to the ground by the Heavenly Tao Chaotic Tablet. The Heavenly Tao Chaotic barrier on his body was broken, and he was trapped by the Heavenly Tao Chaotic Tablet. Under the joint attack of Ling Xiao and the Divine Firmament King, he instantly fell into a disadvantageous position. Boom! Dazzling lightning flashed, and a thick yellow saber appeared in the Great Firmament King's palm. It suddenly collided with the ancient sword in the Divine Firmament King's hand, and at the same time, it released a dazzling divine light. Ling Xiao's fist enveloped the Great Firmament King, and he had no way to block it. He could only use his physical body to withstand it. Crack! A crisp sound rang out as Ling Xiao's fist landed on the Great Firmament King's chest. Instantly, his chest caved in, and his flesh and blood exploded, forming a huge bloody hole. After refining the Hurricane Lily, Ling Xiao's terrifying strength was comparable to the 9 titled Skeleton Kings. At that moment, he used the chaotic 8 styles, which pursued the ultimate physical strength, and was incomparably terrifying. Even the great Firmament King was unable to withstand it. You are that so-called young master. Fellow Divine Firmament, you actually submitted to him? Ha ha ha. I really didn't expect it. The great Firmament King laughed in anger and roared. Great Firmament, submit. As long as you submit to Master, Master will spare your life. Otherwise, if you continue to resist, only death awaits you. The Divine Firmament King said coldly, but his attacks were getting fiercer and fiercer. The reason why he and Ling Xiao had chosen to attack the Great Firmament King first was that the Great Firmament King had the strongest defense among the 9 titled Skeleton Kings. However, his battle prowess was also the weakest. Furthermore, he had a good relationship with the Divine Firmament King, so he could lower his guard to the greatest extent. Therefore, they used the power of the Heavenly Tao Chaotic Tablet to launch a surprise attack on the Great Firmament King. The Divine Firmament King and Ling Xiao followed closely behind, instantly causing the Great Firmament King to be severely injured. Don't even think about it. I won't submit to anyone. The Great Firmament King roared. You don't know what's good for you. Killing intent flashed in the Divine Firmament King's eyes as he activated his terrifying sage aura. Bolts of lightning intertwined, causing the ancient purple sword in his hand to become even sharper as he continuously attacked the Great Firmament King. Rumble. At that moment, a mysterious and vast aura was emitted from Ling Xiao's body. He had activated the 4th style of the heaven-defying art. In an instant, 3,000 worlds appeared behind him, as if there was a cycle of life and death. An indeterminate aura was released, enveloping the Great Firmament King. Chapter 1679. Roar. It was a crimson divine dragon. It looked lifelike and exuded a powerful dragon's might. A powerful dragon's roar rang out, forming a powerful sealing force that lingered between the Grand Firmament King's eyebrows and extended into his body. The vitality and death aura in his body began to boil violently, becoming extremely chaotic as if his entire body was about to explode. The Grand Firmament King's expression changed drastically, and a trace of unconcealable fear appeared in his eyes. Originally, the Grand Firmament King could seal the red dragon mark with his strength. However, after being severely injured by Ling Xiao and the Divine Firmament King, Ling Xiao used the 4th move of the fate-reversing art. The Grand Firmament King could no longer seal the red dragon mark and was directly controlled by Ling Xiao. The Grand Firmament King could feel that the red dragon mark had been completely activated. If Ling Xiao wanted to kill him, it would only take an instant. I am willing to submit. The Grand Firmament King's eyes were filled with unwillingness, but in the face of the threat of death, he finally chose to submit. Wouldn't it have been better if you had submitted earlier? Then you wouldn't have had to suffer so much. The Divine Firmament King sneered. Buzz. Ling Xiao's eyes shone brightly as he activated the fate-reversing art. A vast amount of energy directly merged with the red dragon mark. After the red dragon mark was completely activated, the Grand Firmament King could no longer seal it. His life and death were completely in Ling Xiao's hands. Of the 9 titled Skeleton Kings, Ling Xiao had already subdued the Divine Firmament King and the Grand Firmament King. Congratulations, young master, congratulations, young master. The 9 titled Skeleton Kings will fight their own battles. As long as the news is not leaked, we can defeat them one by one and subdue them all. The Divine Firmament King and the Grand Firmament King knelt before Ling Xiao and flattered him. Let's go. Next. Ling Xiao's eyes also revealed a trace of anticipation. Only by gathering the power of the 9 titled Skeleton Kings could they open the fate-reversing palace. Even the 9 titled Skeleton Kings did not know where the fate-reversing palace was. They only knew that it was the center of this world and also the core of the cyclic sky seal. The 3rd place was the Azure Firmament King of the Azure Firmament Sacred Mountain. With the Divine Firmament King and the Grand Firmament King, as well as Ling Xiao, the 3 of them subdued the Azure Firmament King without any effort. Next was the Jade Heaven King. When they were at Jade Firmament's Sacred Mountain, there was an accident. They did not expect King Jing Shao to be there. Although Ling Shao and the others tried their best to capture King Jing Shao escaped from Jade Firmament Sacred Mountain in desperation. The news was still exposed. The last 5 kings, Bright Sky King, Crimson Sky King, Jade Sky King, Clear Sky King, and Purple Sky King were all completely shocked. They never thought that 4 of the 9 kings would be captured without anyone noticing. In the end, the 5 great kings gathered on top of the Violet Firmament Sacred Mountain. Countless cultivators of the Skeleton Clan gathered together and prepared to fight Ling Shao and the 4 great kings to the death. Man proposes, God disposes. I didn't think that the news would still leak out. Young master, what should we do next? The Divine Firmament King said helplessly. Let's go back to Feng Shui village first. A divine light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes as he said indifferently. Since the news had already been leaked, Ling Xiao wasn't worried about anything. At most, he would just kill all 5 kings in one fell swoop. After going through a few battles, Ling Xiao didn't care about the remaining 5 kings. However, before the final battle, he still had to make some preparations. When he returned to Feng Shui village, Li Qingyun, Pang Gufeng, and Mu Yuansheng had already gathered the experts of the 3 clans in Feng Shui village. The elites of the 3 clans were all extremely excited and exuded a strong fighting spirit. The news that Ling Shao had subdued the 4 great kings shocked the entire world of death. Naturally, Li Qingyun and the others also knew about it. Little friend Long, I really didn't expect you to subdue the 4 great kings. It seems that you are the destined master of the Flipping Sky Seal. Li Qingyun sighed softly. Although they had a certain degree of hope for Ling Shao before, they did not expect Ling Shao to be able to snatch the red spider lilies from the river of forgetfulness and subdue the Divine Firmament King, Grand Firmament King, Azure Firmament King, and Jade Firmament King in such a short time. When the news came, they were all in disbelief. It was only when Ling Shao stood in front of them with the 4 great kings that they felt as if they were in a dream. That's right. Little friend Long, we also heard that the remaining 5 great kings have gathered at the Purple Firmament Sacred Mountain and are preparing to resist. We have all decided to go to the Purple Firmament Sacred Mountain with you and capture all the 5 great kings. Pang Gufeng also laughed out loud. Many thanks to the 3 elders. This time, I also want to ask the 3 elders to lend me a hand. As for the remaining 5 kings, they can't die. As long as I can severely injure them, I will be able to subdue them all. Ling Shao smiled slightly. I'm afraid it won't be an easy task to severely injure all of them. It's not enough to rely on just us, but we can borrow the power of the formation. Li Qingyun pondered for a moment and said slowly. The power of the formation? Elderly, are you talking about the 5 elements Yin-Yang Divine Dragon Formation? Ling Shao asked. The 5 elements Yin-Yang Divine Dragon Formation was indeed extraordinary. If they set up the 5 elements Yin-Yang Divine Dragon Formation, they should be able to gain the upper hand. Not the 5 elements Yin-Yang Divine Dragon Formation. Although the 5 elements Yin-Yang Divine Dragon Formation can increase our strength, it is limited. I have the 6 paths of reincarnation formation that was passed down by Second Holy Master. It needs 6 people to set up the formation, and it can burst out dozens or even hundreds of times the strength. Not to mention severely injuring the 5 kings, even killing them wouldn't be a difficult task. Li Qingyun said confidently. Second Holy Master passed it down. Isn't that the artifact spirit of the Flipping Sky Seal? Very good. Elder Li will teach us how to practice the 6 paths of reincarnation formation, and then we will fight the 5 great kings to death. Ling Zhao's eyes flickered slightly as he nodded. The 6 paths of reincarnation formation contained the power of reincarnation. As long as a living being entered the formation, their vitality would be devoured and they would fall into reincarnation, sinking into it forever. The 6 paths of reincarnation formation required 7 people to set it up. 6 of them would each control a formation, and the 7th person would be the core of the formation. In the end, it was decided that Li Qingyun would be in charge of the core, and Pangu Feng, Mu Yuansheng, Divine Firmament King, Great Firmament King, Green Firmament King, and Jade Firmament King would each control a formation to set up the 6 paths of reincarnation formation. Ling Xiao would wait for an opportunity to subdue the 5 great kings. Everyone was talented. Although the 6 paths of reincarnation grand formation was incomparably profound, under the control of Li Qingyun, each of them only mastered one formation. Therefore, they were able to adapt to each other very quickly. In just 1 month, they had already mastered the 6 paths of reincarnation grand formation to the mastery level. Chapter 1680. Damn it! Long Outyen didn't die and even subdued the 4 great kings. No, I have to speed up. In a mysterious valley filled with clouds and dazzling light, Zhang Tianqing stood in the valley with a gloomy expression. He had been here for a month. In front of him was a dazzling door of light. However, there were 9 rays of starlight on it, which converged to form an incomparably mysterious seal. Zhang Tianqing knew that behind the light gate was the core of the flipping sky seal. Originally, he planned to take his time to break the seal, but the news that came gave him a sense of urgency. He had to hurry. Damn it! I have the bloodline of the war tribe. The flipping sky seal is the treasure of the war tribe. Why are you taking all the opportunities and benefits? Long Outyen, after I control the flipping sky seal, I'll make you beg for death. I'll let you become the weapon spirit of the flipping sky seal. Zhang Tianqing's eyes revealed a trace of cold murderous intent. He continued to break the seal in front of him. Purple Firmament Sacred Mountain. This was a mountain shrouded in purple clouds. It was majestic and vast, emitting rays of blazing lightning. It was like the might of the heavens, making one's scalp tingle. On the Purple Firmament Sacred Mountain, there were powerful experts of the skeleton tribe everywhere. Golden skeletons, platinum skeletons, and purple gold skeleton kings were densely packed. There were thousands of them, and all of them looked alert and cold. They were the subordinates of the 5 great kings. At this time, they were all gathered on the Purple Firmament Sacred Mountain, waiting for Ling Xiao and the rest to arrive. After all, this world of death wasn't big. They couldn't escape even if they wanted to. Therefore, the 5 great kings joined forces. They believed that Ling Xiao would definitely come for them. Purple Firmament Sacred Mountain. Are they already waiting for us here? Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with divine light. The purple divine light was like a sword, piercing the sky. He led the 4 great kings, Li Qingyun, Pangu Feng, and Mu Yuansheng to the Purple Firmament Sacred Mountain. Standing in the sky, Ling Xiao could see the majestic aura of the Purple Firmament Sacred Mountain ahead. There was a purple palace at the top of the mountain, shrouded in lightning, majestic and mysterious. 5 terrifying auras were emitted from the palace. They were like resplendent suns, as if they could sweep away everything. Master, the 5 of them are stubbornly resisting. They will definitely die. Master, please sit back and watch us capture all of them for you. The Divine Firmament King and the other 3 laughed. Their eyes were filled with confidence. During this period of time, they had been constantly studying the 6 paths of reincarnation formation, so they were full of confidence in the power of the formation. Now that they had arrived at the Purple Heaven's Sacred Mountain, they could not wait to rush up and kill. Rumble. The arrival of Ling Xiao and the others alarmed the 5 kings of Violet Firmament Sacred Mountain. Terrifying auras rose, and in an instant, 5 powerful figures rushed out from the palace, floating above the Purple Heaven Sacred Mountain. Their auras intertwined, and their eyes were extremely cold, filled with monstrous killing intent. King Bright Firmament, King Crimson Firmament, King Jade Firmament, King Cheong Firmament, and King Purple Firmament. The 5 of them had terrifying auras, and their auras were monstrous. Their bodies were surrounded by majestic vitality and death aura. Their eyes were extremely cold as they stared at Ling Xiao and the others, filled with bone-deep hatred. Divine Firmament King, you dare to side with the inheritor? We are ashamed to be in the same team as you. King Purple Firmament stood out and stared coldly at the Divine Firmament King and the others. He wore a purple robe, python boots, and a purple gold crown. He looked like a crown of jade, majestic and mysterious. His aura was also the strongest among the 5 kings. The 5 kings regarded him as their leader. The divine Firmament King sneered and said, "Brother Purple Firmament, I think you have forgotten your identity, right? We are all subordinates of the Great Heavenly Venerate. Now that the Great Heavenly Venerate's personal disciple has arrived, he is our young master. What's wrong with us submitting to the young master? On the other hand, not only are you not submitting, but you are also stubbornly resisting. Do you really want to die? That's right. Brother Purple Firmament, quickly submit to the young master. Otherwise, when we fight later, don't blame us for not showing mercy." The Great Firmament King also looked like a loyal lackey as he shouted at the Purple Firmament King. "Ha ha ha! What a joke! We are not anyone's slaves, nor are we anyone's subordinates. The Great Heavenly Venerate and Second Heavenly Venerate have been dead for millions of years. We are the rulers of this world. You are willing to be others' slaves, but I am not. Let's cut the crap and see who's the real deal." The Purple Firmament King was so angry that he laughed. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. "Purple Firmament King, if you submit now, I can let bygones be bygones." Ling Xiao looked indifferently at the Purple Firmament King. "Submit to you? Who do you think you are? Fellow cultivators, follow me and kill him." The Purple Firmament King said coldly. His voice contained a monstrous killing intent. In an instant, he rushed over with a purple gold battle spear in his hand and shot it at Ling Xiao. Kill! Behind the Purple Firmament King, the Bright Firmament King, the Crimson Firmament King, the Jade Firmament King, and the Jade Firmament King also began to attack. Their auras were terrifying and monstrous as they charged at Ling Xiao at the same time. Their eyes were very sharp. They could see that the biggest threat was Ling Xiao. As long as they killed Ling Xiao, the Divine Firmament King and the others might betray them. The key to this battle was Ling Xiao. "Protect the young master!" The Divine Firmament King roared. In an instant, the purple ancient sword, surrounded by blazing lightning, flew toward the purple gold battle spear. Rumble! Dazzling divine light bloomed. The Divine Firmament King and the Purple Firmament King trembled and could not help but retreat at the same time. Swoosh! 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 At that moment, the Divine Firmament King, Green Firmament King, Jade Firmament King, Li Qingyun, Pang Feng, and Mu Yuanqing also soared into the sky at the same time. Their speed was extremely fast. They did not directly face the 5 great kings. Instead, they surrounded them in the center. Dazzling divine light bloomed, and divine chains of order traversed the sky. Behind the 6 of them, there seemed to be a mysterious illusory world. Their auras intertwined with each other, and there was a strange fluctuation of life, death, and reincarnation. This is an array formation. Oh no! Let's rush out! The Purple Firmament King's expression changed slightly as he felt the terrifying power contained in the array formation. He could not help but roar. But it was too late. The Divine Firmament King and the others had been practicing for nearly a month. The 6 paths of reincarnation array was all for today's capture and killing of the 5 great kings. How could they let them escape so easily? Rumble! The blazing divine light was incomparably terrifying, and the divine chains of order enveloped the 5 of them. They intertwined with each other as if forming a huge net that reached the sky. And in the void, 6 mysterious illusory worlds appeared, containing terrifying energy fluctuations. They pressed down on the 5 great kings, layer upon layer. It was as if there was an endless space that was firmly bound within, and there was no way for them to escape. Roar! Chapter 1681. Follow me. Let's kill these rotten bones. Pangu Tai, Pangu Yuan, and the rest laughed coldly. Terrifying blood chi surged from their bodies as they led the experts from the 3 races towards the skeleton race. Previously, the experts of the 3 clans had been restraining themselves and rarely engaged in large-scale conflicts with the experts of the skeleton clan. However, now that they had unleashed their full power, they erupted with the most terrifying fighting spirit. One of them could fight against 10 or even 100 of them, and they killed the experts of the skeleton clan one after another. An intense battle broke out on the Purple Firmament's sacred mountain. However, the focus of this battle was still on the sky. Only the victory of the 5 kings would determine the outcome of this battle. Although the 5 kings were trapped in the 6 paths of reincarnation array, their strength was extremely terrifying. Every one of them had the combat strength of a sage. Although they couldn't escape the control of the 6 paths of reincarnation array, they didn't suffer any serious injuries. Rumble. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply as the Heavenly Tao Primal Chaos Tablet rose into the sky and expanded rapidly. In an instant, it was tens of thousands of feet long. It was like an immemorial divine mountain that was lifted up by Ling Xiao and pressed down on the 5 kings. Damn it! Purple Firmament King's face changed. He could feel the threat of the Heavenly Tao Primal Chaos Tablet and didn't dare to be careless. Instantly, the purple gold divine spear in his hand rose into the sky and exploded with a terrifying sage aura, piercing towards the Heavenly Tao Primal Chaos Tablet. Kacha! Dazzling divine light exploded as the Heavenly Tao Primal Chaos Tablet pressed down. The purple gold divine spear trembled violently and bent down as if it could break apart at any time. Boom! At this moment, Ling Xiao punched out, the chaotic 8 styles exploded. The 16 times strength turned into a chaotic fist mark and slammed into Purple Firmament King's body. Purple Firmament King's body trembled violently as the chaotic light on his body exploded. He couldn't help but stagger as the purple gold divine spear buzzed and flew out. The Heavenly Tao Primal Chaos Tablet pressed down on Purple Firmament King's body as if a million mountains were pressing down on him. Purple Firmament King's body trembled violently as he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Damn it! Purple Firmament King was about to go crazy as his eyes were filled with killing intent. He was trapped in the 6 paths of reincarnation array and could only take Ling Xiao's attack head-on. Kill! Divine Firmament King and the kings were all energized as they frantically activated the 6 paths of reincarnation array. Reincarnation energy of life and death, reincarnation energy of reincarnation. On the other hand, Ling Xiao wielded the Heaven Tao Primal Chaos Tablet and used the power of the chaotic 8 stances. He was constantly depleting the terrifying origin energy around him as he launched terrifying attacks towards the 5 kings. But Ling Xiao knew that his body in this world was between illusion and reality. Therefore, he didn't care if it would exhaust his body's origin energy. He continued to use the 8 paths of reincarnation array to attack the kings. Soon, the kings were at a disadvantage as they were heavily injured by the 6 paths of reincarnation array and Ling Xiao. Their auras became weaker and weaker. Rumble. Ling Xiao's body emitted a blazing divine light as a mysterious aura spread out from his limbs and bones. He directly activated the 4th move of the life reversing art, the power of reincarnation reverse. Behind Ling Xiao, it was as if 3,000 worlds had appeared. Rays of divine light covered the sky as they merged into the kings' bodies. Roar! 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 5 dragon roars rang out, shaking the heavens. They contained an incomparably terrifying dragon might, and the 5 great kings could not help but reveal a look of fear in their eyes. The scarlet dragon marks that they had originally sealed had all been revealed at this moment. The crimson dragon marks shone brightly as if they were alive. They were like a crimson divine dragon that moved slowly. With the 4th move of the life reversing art, it was as if the power within was activated. It directly connected with the primordial spirits, physical bodies, and fate of the kings. Ling Xiao stood in the air as a mysterious aura spread out from his body. 3,000 worlds circled around him as if he was an invincible emperor who controlled all life. Although Purple Cloud King and the other 4 were filled with unwillingness, they could not help but kneel down in front of Ling Xiao at this moment, deeply submitting to him. Their crimson dragon marks were completely controlled by Ling Xiao at this moment. Their lives were in Ling Xiao's hands. Submit or die. Ling Xiao said calmly. His voice was like thunder, shaking the world. We are willing to submit. The Purple Cloud King and the other kings were terrified. They could hear the murderous intent in Ling Xiao's voice. It was as if they would be killed immediately if they didn't submit. Very good. Ling Xiao said calmly. The murderous intent in his eyes gradually disappeared, becoming more and more unfathomable. If it weren't for the fact that he needed the power of the 9 kings to open the life-reversing palace, Ling Xiao wouldn't have spared their lives. However, sparing their lives was only temporary. The 9 titled skeleton kings were like snakes and rats, unruly and unruly. Ling Xiao didn't trust them at all. He had already decided to let the Thunder Spirit King become the artifact spirit of the Flipping Sky Seal. Hence, the only outcome for the 9 titled skeleton kings was to become the Thunder Spirit King's nourishment. Master, we can open the life-reversing palace now. As long as Master devours all 8 of them, I will definitely become the artifact spirit of the Flipping Sky Seal and help Master control the Flipping Sky Seal. The Divine Cloud King transmitted his voice to Ling Xiao excitedly. His voice was filled with eagerness and anticipation. That's right. Let's open the life-reversing palace now. As long as you can open the life-reversing palace, you will have made a great contribution. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Master, don't worry. I swear to follow Master until death. I will be loyal and will never betray you. The Divine Cloud King hurriedly knelt down and kowtowed to Ling Xiao to show his loyalty. However, there was an obscure cold glint in his lowered eyes. As long as he could devour the other 8 titled skeleton kings, his strength would skyrocket. He might even be able to prove his Tao and become a true sage. At that time, what would a mere crimson dragon mark amount to? As for the so-called young master, it was up to him whether he wanted to kill him or not. The Divine Cloud King had already started to daydream. Master, this guy is getting more and more dishonest. Hee hee. The Thunder Spirit King laughed. He naturally saw through the Divine Cloud King's scheme. He is still useful. After opening the life-reversing palace, he will be useless. Chapter 1682. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled as a dazzling divine light burst forth. 9 stars appeared in the sky, and a chaotic fog spread out. It was as if an ancient and huge bronze temple had appeared in the sky. That bronze temple exuded an eternal aura. The walls were mottled, revealing the vicissitudes of time. Chaotic aura spread out, making it look ethereal and mysterious. Above the bronze temple, 3 resplendent words lit up. Fate Reversing Palace. Ha ha ha. The Fate Reversing Palace is finally open. I, Zhan Tianqing, am the master of the Heaven Flipping Seal. Zhan Tianqing's eyes were filled with madness as he laughed loudly. Gung Long, Gung Hu, and the other 8 inheritors were tied to the 8 stone pillars beside him. Their bones were all shattered, and the stars on their foreheads intertwined, exuding a vast power. It was as if they were supporting the opening of the bronze temple. The 8 of them were on the verge of death. It was as if all their life force had been extracted. They were only 1 step away from death. Zhan Tianqing did not obtain the Hurricane Lily, so in order to open the fate-reversing palace, he did not hesitate to extract the inheritance marks of Gung Long, Gung Hu, and the other inheritors. He sacrificed them and used the power of the God of War bloodline to open the core area at great cost. Whoosh! Zhan Tianqing's body flashed, and he instantly flew toward the fate-reversing palace. At the same time, the terrifying aura of the bronze temple enveloped the entire world of death. At that moment, it was as if everyone looked up and saw the ancient bronze temple in the sky. Oh no! Master, the fate-reversing palace has been opened. But, how is this possible? The Divine Firmament King trembled, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. At that moment, the 9 kings were all stunned. They simply couldn't believe what they were seeing. This was the fate-reversing palace. In the past, only the first Empyrean and second Empyrean could open it. However, ever since the first Empyrean and second Empyrean disappeared, the power of the 9 kings had to be gathered to open the fate-reversing palace. However, the 9 kings were still here, and the fate-reversing palace had already been opened. It's Zhan Tianqing. A sharp glint flashed across Ling Zhao's eyes as a name appeared in his mind. Zhan Tianqing possessed the bloodline of the war tribe, and his methods were extremely strange. Other than Zhan Tianqing, Ling Zhao could not think of anyone else who could open the fate-reversing palace. Little friend Long, we must hurry to the fate-reversing palace immediately. If the core of the fate-reversing palace is controlled by someone, then our life and death will be in the hands of that person. Li Qingyun, Pang Gufeng, and Mu Yuancheng also spoke with solemn gazes. Let's go. Ling Zhao said coldly. He leaped up and flew towards the fate-reversing palace in the sky like a bolt of purple lightning. Whoosh! 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 The Divine Firmament King and the other kings, as well as Li Qingyun and the other experts of the 3 races, also leaped up and followed closely behind Ling Zhao, charging into the fate-reversing palace. The gate of the fate-reversing palace was already open. Dazzling light gushed out from within, containing a vast aura of the saintly way. Ling Zhao led everyone into the fate-reversing palace in a grandiose manner. Long Outyen, you're late. As soon as Ling Zhao entered the fate-reversing palace, he heard a mocking voice. Boom! A small black seal floated in the middle of the fate-reversing palace, exuding an ancient and mysterious aura. At that moment, Zhan Tianqing was standing beside the small black seal. His aura had already intertwined with the small black seal, as if he had completely refined it. The array core of the flipping sky seal. Ling Zhao's heart sank slightly as he spoke slowly. The small black seal was thick and ancient. Ling Zhao could sense at a glance that this small black seal was the array core of the flipping sky seal. Smart. Zhan Tianqing smiled faintly. Rumble. The runes in his palm were dazzling. The small black seal buzzed and the fate-reversing palace trembled. The surrounding void vibrated and the 2 ancient gates closed instantly. The array runes in the surroundings appeared and a cold murderous intent locked onto Ling Zhao and the others. In the face of the cold murderous intent, even the 9 great kings changed their expressions. They felt a fatal threat from the array core of the fate-reversing palace. Zhan Tianqing stood in the middle of the fate-reversing palace, holding the array core of the flipping sky seal. He looked like a peerless celestial emperor who controlled the life and death of all living beings. He stared coldly at Ling Zhao and said, Long Outyen, I have refined the array core of the flipping sky seal. From now on, I will be the true owner of the flipping sky seal. Do you want to live or die? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed and he said flatly, So what if I want to live? So what if I want to die? He instinctively felt that something was wrong. It was too easy for Zhan Tianqing to refine the array core of the flipping sky seal. If it was that easy, the 9 great kings would have thought of a way to open the fate-reversing palace and refine the array core of the flipping sky seal. The most important thing was that the existence of the 9 titled skeleton kings had its own meaning. If they could open the flipping sky seal and control the core of the formation of the flipping sky seal, it would be meaningless for the Scarlet Dragon War God and the device spirit of the flipping sky seal to leave the 9 titled skeleton kings behind. Ling Zhao kept thinking that there must be something that he had overlooked. Long Outyen, if you want to live, kneel down and kowtow to apologize. If you want to die, I can fulfill your wish right now. Zhan Tianqing smiled coldly and there was a trace of cold murderous intent in his eyes. Speaking of which, he had suffered many losses in the hands of Ling Zhao. Whether it was being schemed against by Ling Zhao in the mythical space or being robbed of the red spider lilies in the river of forgetfulness, Zhan Tianqing was extremely angry and hated Ling Zhao to the extreme. Therefore, Zhan Tianqing would not let go of the opportunity to humiliate Ling Zhao. Zhan Tianqing even began to imagine Ling Zhao kneeling in front of him and crying bitterly, begging for his forgiveness. Kowtow to apologize? You think you're worthy? Zhan Tianqing, do you really think that you have control of the flipping sky seal? Ling Zhao suddenly smiled coldly. You don't know what's good for you. You should be able to sense whether I have control of the flipping sky seal or not. As long as I activate the array in the fate-reversing palace, all of you will definitely die. Long Outyen, I think you want to do this the hard way. Zhan Tianqing's eyes flashed with murderous intent as he stared at Ling Xiao. Ignorant. If you have control of the flipping sky seal, why are you still in the inner world of the flipping sky seal? You would have returned to the sect long ago, right? The so-called control of the flipping sky seal is just an illusion. This is not the array core of the flipping sky seal. This is only the array core of the fate-reversing palace. I dare to bet that you have not completely refined it. Chapter 1683. Just as he finished speaking, Zhan Tianqing's expression changed slightly. Long Outyen, I advise you not to test my patience. This is the core of the flipping sky seal. Do you really think I don't dare to kill you? Zhan Tianqing said coldly with a hint of madness in his eyes. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled as the rainbow blood bead on Zhan Tianqing's chest shone brightly. In an instant, the small black seal in his hand began to spin. The fate-reversing palace began to tremble slightly. In an instant, divine chains of order swept across the sky, suppressing Ling Xiao and the others. The divine chains of order contained a power that could penetrate everything, causing the 9 kings, Li Qingyun, Pang Gufeng, and Mu Yuanqing to feel their scalps go numb. Their eyes were filled with incomparably solemn expressions. Boom! However, at this moment, Ling Xiao suddenly leaped up. Mysterious light bloomed around his body. Behind him, chaotic fog filled the air. The vast 3,000 worlds appeared, and a mysterious aura of life and death enveloped the entire fate-reversing palace. Ling Xiao slapped his palm toward Zhan Tianqing. To be exact, he slapped toward the small black seal in Zhan Tianqing's hand. Kacha! Runes rose from Ling Xiao's palm. The 3,000 worlds seemed to be annihilated at this moment, turning into a vast force of reincarnation. The small black seal in Zhan Tianqing's palm suddenly began to tremble. It emitted waves of agitation and instantly devoured the vast force of reincarnation. The small black seal trembled slightly and wanted to fly toward Ling Xiao. What? Zhan Tianqing's expression changed drastically. His eyes were filled with disbelief. He frantically moved the rainbow blood bead in his chest, trying to control the small black seal. Buzz! The small black seal trembled in the void. It circled between Ling Xiao and Zhan Tianqing as if it was struggling. In the fate-reversing palace, the power of the array that had been awakened gradually dissipated. The divine chains of order broke inch by inch and then disappeared into the fate-reversing palace. What's going on? The 9 great kings were all stunned, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. They had never entered the fate-reversing palace before, so they did not know what was inside. Initially, when Zhan Tianqing controlled the small black seal, it was as if he controlled the array core of the flipping sky seal. They had even begun to feel despair. But unexpectedly, the situation was reversed in the blink of an eye. So that's what little friend Long meant. Zhan Tianqing did not manage to refine the black seal completely. Our little friend Long seems to have mastered a secret technique that allows him to control the power of the black seal. They are now fighting for control of the black seal. Li Qingyun's eyes lit up as if he had discovered something. If that's the case, little friend Long still has a good chance of seizing control of the black seal. Why don't we attack together and kill this Zhan Tianqing? A trace of killing intent flashed in Pang Gufeng's eyes as he said slowly. The 9 kings were also tempted, especially the divine firmament king. He looked at Zhan Tianqing with a malicious gaze. Damn it! How can he control the core of the cyclic sky seal? Zhan Tianqing could not believe it, and his eyes were filled with coldness. He did not manage to refine the black seal completely. Without the power of the 9 kings, Zhan Tianqing would not have been able to refine the black seal. Instead, he had used the bloodline of the war tribe to forcefully refine it. He had managed to refine 90% of the black seal. It was just that Zhan Tianqing could not refine the last 10% no matter what. But now, Long Outyan had used a secret technique that he did not know of to refine the last 10%. The two of them were in a stalemate. And Ling Zhao's inspiration came from the fate-reversing palace. The core of the cyclic sky seal was the fate-reversing palace. This was not a random name. Ling Zhao immediately thought of the fate-reversing technique. Perhaps the fate-reversing technique was the key to controlling the cyclic sky seal. Therefore, he did not hesitate to use the fate-reversing technique. He had gambled on Zhan Tianqing not being able to control the black seal completely. He had won the bet. Ling Zhao also realized that Zhan Tianqing was able to control the black seal because he had ignited the power of the war tribe bloodline. As Ling Zhao used the fate-reversing technique, the black seal seemed to want to fly towards him. However, it was firmly controlled by Zhan Tianqing's bloodline. Rumble. Pang Gufeng and Mu Yuanqing exchanged glances and instantly charged towards Zhan Tianqing. They could also see the stalemate between Ling Zhao and Zhan Tianqing. Perhaps if they killed Zhan Tianqing, Ling Zhao would be able to completely refine the core of the cyclic sky seal. However, Zhan Tianqing's body glowed with resplendent light. Runes bloomed one after another, forming a vast and mysterious boundary. Pang Gufeng and Mu Yuanqing's attacks didn't even leave a mark on it. Don't waste your energy. Zhan Tianqing now has partial control over it. I'm afraid none of us can hurt him. Li Qingyun said slowly. Let's attack together and help Master. At that moment, the Divine Firmament King's eyes flashed. Terrifying energy erupted from his body and surged towards Ling Zhao. Rumble. The 9 kings all understood the Divine Firmament King's intention. They activated their energy at the same time, turning it into beams of dazzling divine light that poured into Ling Zhao's body. The energy of the 9 kings intertwined and formed a perfect balance in Ling Zhao's body. A faint chaotic glow spread out and surged towards the black seal. Ling Zhao had only relied on the fate-reversing technique to control 10% of the black seal. Now that the energy of the 9 kings surged over, Ling Zhao was like a tiger that had grown wings. He continuously eroded the black seal. 20%. 30%. 40%. Seeing the changes in the black seal, Zhan Tianqing's expression changed drastically. His eyes were filled with unwillingness as he roared. No! He had been so close to completely controlling the cyclic sky seal, but he had not expected Ling Zhao to turn the tables at the crucial moment. Ling Zhao had slowly taken control of the core of the array. Zhan Tianqing was about to go crazy, but there was nothing he could do. Rumble. The power of the 9 kings fused together, forming the complete Great Tao of Death. In Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness, the mysterious Great Tao immortal flower bloomed, and a mysterious Tao fruit seemed to emerge from the void of chaos. The Tao fruit represented the true meaning of the Great Tao and contained the origin of the Great Tao. Forming the Tao fruit also meant that one had broken through to the Sage Realm. Chapter 1684. The red spider lily contained the origin of the Great Tao of Death, but with Ling Zhao's cultivation base and realm, he shouldn't have been able to comprehend the Great Tao of Death so quickly. However, the 9 kings had been constantly comprehending the Great Tao of Death for 1,000,000 years, and had even gone from death to life. Their comprehension had reached the pinnacle, and now their power poured into Ling Zhao's body at the same time, helping him comprehend the Great Tao of Death to perfection and condense the Tao of Death fruit. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled, and a terrifying power erupted from Ling Zhao's body. His originally purple bones were now filled with boundless vitality, and in an instant, his entire body was wrapped up. Flesh and blood gradually grew, and Ling Zhao's body exuded a vitality as vigorous as the sea. It was as if he had been resurrected from the dead, and his aura became even more terrifying. Bolts of lightning bloomed, and a mysterious Tao voice sang in the void. Ling Zhao had gone from death to life, and the flesh and blood all over his body were condensed, exuding a wave of power that shook heaven and earth. The black Tao of Death floated above his head, and lightning flashed and thunder rumbled around him. Light blazed, and his aura instantly suppressed everything, causing the entire fate-reversing palace to resonate with him. This is the Saint Realm. Little friend Long has actually proven his Tao and become a saint with the great Tao of death? Li Qingyun, Pang Gufeng, and Mu Yuanqing were all dumbfounded, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. They never thought that Ling Xiao would prove his Tao and become a saint in front of them. That was a supreme saint who had enlightened all living beings, dominated the world, and controlled the great Tao's origin. How could he have achieved it so easily? Everyone's heart was filled with a surreal feeling. At this moment, the 9 kings were all complaining incessantly, and there was even a trace of fear in their eyes. They could feel that as Ling Xiao condensed the Tao of death, the energy in their bodies was flowing uncontrollably into Ling Xiao's body. There was no way to stop it, and in the blink of an eye, the power they had accumulated over 1,000,000 years was completely devoured by Ling Xiao. Buzz! At this moment, the small black seal trembled slightly, and in an instant, an unparalleled divine power surged in, expelling Zhan Tianqing's will, and Ling Xiao refined the small black seal in an instant. Crack! There was a blazing sound of thunder, and in an instant, the world exploded. The surroundings shook, and beams of chaotic light were dazzling. Ling Xiao seemed to have become the ruler of this world. He waved his hand, and immediately, divine light filled the sky, enveloping Zhan Tianqing and the other 8 inheritors. No! The flipping sky seal is mine, mine! Zhan Tianqing's eyes, and his eyes were filled with indignation and anger, and indignation. However, after Ling Xiao had completely refined the core of the array formation of the flipping sky seal, Zhan Tianqing and the other inheritors could no longer stay in this world. They were immediately pushed out. What a pity! Ling Xiao said faintly. His eyes shone with a bright light. None of the inheritors had entered this world with their true bodies. They had only used part of their primordial spirits. Furthermore, due to the effects of the inheritance imprint, they had directly taken over the body of a skeleton. Hence, even if they killed Zhan Tianqing and the others, it would be useless. Moreover, Ling Xiao had taken control of the flipping sky seal's legacy mark and condensed the Tao of death in this world. He had no time to kill the primordial spirits of Zhan Tianqing and the others. But Ling Xiao did not care. From now on, he was the only owner of the flipping sky seal. Master, please spare our lives. King Divine Firmament and the other kings pleaded with Ling Xiao, their eyes full of pleading. They could feel that the power in their bodies was rapidly draining, and even their vitality was slowly dissipating. They could already feel the threat of death. Ling Xiao had no intention of stopping after refining the array core. He continued to devour the power of the 9 of them. To completely control and activate the flipping sky seal, I need the power of the 9 of you. This is your honor. Thunder Spirit King, I'll leave it to you. Ling Xiao said calmly. Suddenly, the Thunder Spirit King's body flashed and appeared. He swallowed the black seal that Ling Xiao had thrown to him. Hee, don't worry, Master. The Thunder Spirit King laughed and then looked at the 9 kings with evil intentions. He controlled the power of the array core and rushed toward the 9 kings. After refining the array core, Ling Xiao understood that to completely control the flipping sky seal, he had to integrate the power of the 9 kings. It could be said that the only destiny of the 9 kings was to help the owner of the flipping sky seal control the flipping sky seal. Ling Xiao had decided to let the Thunder Spirit King become the device spirit of the flipping sky seal. Therefore, he let the Thunder Spirit King devour the 9 kings. The 9 kings screamed, but Ling Xiao was not moved. Soon, the 9 kings were all devoured by the Thunder Spirit King. Rumble. The Thunder Spirit King's body shone brightly and emitted a vast and mysterious aura. The entire fate-reversing palace began to shake. Just one more step. Ling Xiao's eyes showed a trace of reluctance, but in the end, he made up his mind. The Death Dao fruit flew directly towards the Thunder Spirit King, blooming with bright light. In an instant, it merged with the Thunder Spirit King. If the Thunder Spirit King wanted to become the device spirit of the flipping sky seal, it was not enough to just devour the power of the 9 kings. He also needed the Death Dao fruit. Therefore, Ling Xiao decisively gave the Death Dao fruit to the Thunder Spirit King. Ling Xiao became a saint in one step only because he was in the world of death. Ling Xiao was not willing to become a saint just like that. He had bigger ambitions. Therefore, giving the Death Dao fruit to the Thunder Spirit King was the best choice. Boom! The aura of the Thunder Spirit King became more and more terrifying. Soon, it surpassed the limit of the Ninth Revolution half-saint and reached a mysterious realm. It was as if he was the master of this world. He could mobilize the supreme power with every move. The strong sense of power made the Thunder Spirit King a little lost. However, he immediately reacted and knelt down in front of Ling Xiao. The Thunder Spirit King greets the master. I am willing to be Master's spear, Master's sword, and Master's spear, even if I die 100 times. The Thunder Spirit King looked very serious. Then, a 9-colored blood bead floated out from his body and turned into a mysterious talisman in the void. It flew toward Ling Xiao in an instant. Ling Xiao did not hesitate and merged the talisman into his sea of consciousness. Chapter 1685. Congratulations on becoming the owner of the Flipping Sky Seal. Little friend Long, you're a genius. We admire you. The owner of the Flipping Sky Seal deserves it. Li Qingyun, Pang Gufeng, and Mu Yuanqing said seriously. Their eyes were filled with excitement. Ling Xiao had become the owner of the Flipping Sky Seal and had complete control over it. Even the 9 kings had died in his hands. Li Qingyun and the other 2 knew that they would soon leave the world of the Flipping Sky Seal and return to their homeland. Many thanks to the 3 elders. The Panga clan, Fengshui family, and Tomb King City will soon return to the divine world. However, the enemies of the 3 clans have unfathomable forces in the divine world. If you return now, I'm afraid the consequences will be unimaginable. Ling Xiao looked at the 3 of them and said seriously. Little friend Long is right. Our deaths are not regrettable, but we must find the young master. We can give up the lives of the Fengshui family, Tomb King City, and even the Panga clan. As long as the young master is still alive, we still have hope. Li Qingyun said seriously. His eyes were filled with the determination to die. Young master. Who is the young master you're talking about? Ling Xiao asked curiously. He had never heard the 3 of them talk about the so-called young master. This so-called young master made Ling Xiao very curious. After all, the Pangu clan was an emperor clan. They were the descendants of great Emperor Pangu. The Fengshui family and Tomb King City were the tomb keepers of great Emperor Pangu. The young master is actually the direct descendant of great Emperor Pangu. He's the son of great Emperor Pangu. He's also our young master. Li Qingyun said seriously. What? This time, Ling Xiao was shocked. The direct descendant of great Emperor Pangu was still alive in this world? Little friend Long, you don't know. It's true that the Fengshui family and Tomb King City are the tomb keepers of great Emperor Pangu, but more importantly, were the tomb keepers of the young master. During the 9 emperors era, the human clan was weak. Great Emperor Pangu fought bloody battles and swept across the world. In the end, he even shed blood in the sky and won the most precious time for the human clan. The young master had been sealed by great Emperor Pangu for billions of years and had only been reborn 1,000,000 years ago. Although the Hua tribe and the Heavenly Curse sect coveted the extreme Dao Emperor weapon, the Pangu axe, more importantly, the news was leaked. They knew that the young lord was born and wanted to kill the young lord before he grew stronger. 1,000,000 years have passed, and we don't know where the young master is at this moment, but we believe that the young master is definitely not dead, so we must find the young master. Li Qingyun said seriously. That's right. The son of great Emperor Pangu is the pride of the Pangu clan, and the young master is the clan leader of the Pangu clan. As long as he is alive, there is hope for the Pangu clan. Pangu Feng said with reddened eyes. So, little friend Long, please let us go. No matter what the consequences are, we will bear all the consequences. We will not implicate little friend Long. Mu Yuanqing bowed deeply towards Ling Xiao. Seniors, please rise. This junior doesn't dare. I wonder what's the name of the young master you're talking about. Why don't I ask around for you first? You don't want to implicate the young master because of your appearance, right? Ling Xiao said with a wry smile. His original intention was to let the three tribes hide in the flipping sky seal for a period of time until he found a safe place to let them leave. He did not expect them to be so impatient that they would even put aside a life-and-death battle for the sake of the young master. Ling Xiao admired them and respected great Emperor Pangu who fought for the human tribe. Therefore, he was willing to do something for the Pangu clan. Li Qingyun, Pangu Feng, and Mu Yuanqing hesitated. Ling Xiao had indeed spoken their minds. They would not regret their deaths, but if they implicated the young master, they would not be able to redeem themselves even if they died 100 times. The young master's name is Pangu Tiangang. Finally, Pangu Feng and the other two looked at each other and slowly said a name. What? Senior brother Tiangang? It was Ling Xiao's turn to be shocked. He also did not expect that the young master mentioned by the three was actually senior brother Tiangang. No wonder he sensed a vast and terrifying seal within eldest senior brother Big Dipper's body, hiding a powerful bloodline power. It turned out that eldest senior brother Big Dipper was the son of great Emperor Pangu, a true great emperor bloodline. Little friend Long, you know the young master. Li Qingyun, Pangu Feng, and Mu Yuanqing suddenly became excited, their eyes filled with incomparable anticipation. Ling Xiao nodded and said, the three elders are right. If I'm not wrong, the young master you're talking about is my senior brother, Tiangang. He's currently in the War God Temple. Ling Xiao recounted how he met Tiangang and how he discovered Tiangang's Pangu bloodline. The heavens really pity my Pangu clan. The young master is not dead, he's not dead. He's still alive. Pangu Feng's eyes were wet, his old face filled with tears of excitement. His body was trembling violently, and such an adult was crying like a child. Li Qingyun and Mu Yuanqing were also trembling, so excited that they couldn't control themselves. In fact, they were incomparably worried in their hearts. After all, they had stayed in this world of death for millions of years. Whether the young master was dead or alive, the hope was probably very slim. They could only comfort themselves that the young master was still alive. Now that they heard news of Tiangang from Ling Xiao's mouth, they were wild with joy, as if their bitter wait for so many years was finally not in vain. After waiting for the three of them to calm down a little, Ling Xiao said slowly, "Three elders, now that you know the news of senior brother Tiangang, you should be relieved, right? For the sake of senior brother Tiangang's safety, I suggest you stay here for now. After I leave, I'll find an opportunity to bring senior brother Tiangang to see you." "Many thanks, little friend Long. I can't thank you enough. Everything will be decided by little friend Long." Li Qingyun, Pangu Feng, and Mu Yuanqing said seriously, then directly knelt down and bowed deeply to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly and hurriedly went forward to help them up. However, these three old men were incomparably stubborn, and insisted on bowing deeply to Ling Xiao before standing up. "Three elders, you can go back and wait for now. I'll bring senior brother Tiangang to see you very soon." Ling Xiao said seriously, making another promise. Li Qingyun, Pangu Feng, and Mu Yuanqing left with incomparable excitement. "Master, I didn't expect Tiangang to be the son of great Emperor Pangu. This is too unbelievable." Thunder Spirit King also exclaimed. That was the son of a great emperor. With the prestige of the 9 great emperors of the human race, as long as the son of a great emperor appeared, his prestige would definitely surpass that of an ordinary sage. This matter must be kept a secret. Wait until I see senior brother Tiangang first. Now, it's time for us to leave. Chapter 1686. Inside War Mountain. The cyclic sky seal was like an ancient sacred mountain, floating in the mysterious chaotic void. It was heavy and ancient, and it contained a power that made the heavens and earth tremble. Suddenly, a light flashed above the cyclic sky seal, and 8 figures appeared. They were Zhan Tianqing, Geng Long, and Geng Hu. Long Outyen, you stole my cyclic sky seal and my opportunity. I will not forgive you. Zhan Tianqing's eyes were bloodshot, and he exuded a strong murderous aura. He roared, and the sky shook violently. What happened? Did we fail? Gung Long, Gung Hu, and the other 6 were confused. They looked at the huge cyclic sky seal, and they could not remember what had happened. After leaving the cyclic sky seal, their memories of the cyclic sky seal had been erased. However, Zhan Tianqing had the bloodline of the war tribe. Hence, he remembered everything that had happened clearly. Especially when he recalled that Ling Xiao had snatched the array core of the flipping sky seal from him, he almost went mad with hatred. Senior brother Zhan, you mean the cyclic sky seal is in Long Outyen's hands? How is that possible? Gung Long and Gung Hu trembled, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. They had even forgotten that Zhan Tianqing had sacrificed the 7 of them in the world of death to open the fate-reversing palace. Swoosh! 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 At that moment, the void in the distance shone brightly. Lu Wenzheng, Lei Qianjue, Xing Jun, and the other members of the War God Hall appeared in the middle of War Mountain. They stared at Zhan Tianqing and the others with different expressions. Tianqing, did you make the cyclic sky seal recognize you as its master? Lei Qianjue stared at Zhan Tianqing and asked impatiently. Zhan Tianqing froze, and his face darkened. He shook his head and said nothing. You still failed. But it doesn't matter. For millions of years, no one has been able to make the cyclic sky seal recognize you as its master. It's not your fault. Where is Long Outyen? He dared to kill Huang Wuji of the 9 imperial gates. This is a heinous crime. No one can save him this time. Lei Qianjue was a little disappointed, but he still comforted Zhan Tianqing. When he mentioned Ling Xiao, a cold murderous intent flashed in his eyes. That's right. This time, no one could save him. The Grand Elder of the 9 imperial gates has already arrived at my war god shrine to denounce us. The sect has already decided that as long as we can verify that Long Outyen killed Huang Wuji, we will hand him over to the 9 imperial gates for punishment. Xing Jun sneered and said. Humph. Lei Qianjue, Xing Jun, it's too early to say anything. We don't even know if Long Outyen was the one who killed Huang Wuji. Aren't you afraid that the other disciples will be disappointed if you slander them like this? Lu Wenzheng's expression was extremely ugly as he said coldly. That's not right. Zhan Tianqing, why are there only 8 of you? Where did Long Outyen go? Could it be? At that moment, Yang Fan, who was dressed in white, suddenly asked Zhan Tianxing with a glint in his eyes. Could it be that Long Outyen has already made the cyclic sky seal recognize him as its master? Lu Wenzheng's body also trembled, and he immediately became excited. Martial Uncle Lu, you're truly delusional. Zhan Tianqing has the bloodline of the war tribe, but even he couldn't make the cyclic sky seal recognize him as its master. Who does Long Outyen think he is? Is he even worthy of making the cyclic sky seal recognize him as its master? Xing Jun sneered, and his eyes were filled with disdain. However, the sneer on his face quickly froze. Zhan Tianqing nodded, and his eyes were filled with unwillingness as he said, that's right. Long Outyen has indeed made the cyclic sky seal recognize him as its master. Zhan Tianqing's words shocked everyone, and their faces were filled with disbelief. That was the cyclic sky seal, and no one had been able to make it recognize him as its master for millions of years. When they heard that Long Outyen had become its master, they almost thought that there was something wrong with their ears. Tianqing, are you sure? Lei Qianjue's expression was extremely ugly as he stared at Zhan Tianqing and asked again. That's right. Originally, I had already obtained the array core of the cyclic sky seal, but Long Outyen used a despicable method to take control of the cyclic sky seal from me. Zhan Tianqing's handsome face was extremely contorted, and he gritted his teeth so hard that they almost broke. It's true. Everyone's hearts were in turmoil. Long Outyen had actually become the master of the cyclic sky seal. Now that the cyclic sky seal had recognized him as its master, it meant that Battle Hall was about to rise. With Long Out Yen in control of the cyclic sky seal, he would become the true master of Battle Hall. A hall master and a true disciple could not be compared to each other. Now, would the sect still hand Long Out Yen over to the 9 imperial gates? When they thought of this, everyone became excited. Many of them had wanted to come and watch the show. They wanted to see how Long Out Yen, who had wreaked havoc in Battle Hall, would deal with the supreme elder of the 9 imperial gates. However, reality slapped them hard in the face, and they were completely dumbfounded. Ha ha ha. I knew that Long Out Yen would be able to control the cyclic sky seal and become the master of Battle Hall. God bless Battle Hall. God bless Battle Hall. Lu Wenjing laughed loudly, and his eyes were filled with excitement. He danced around like a child, and his eyes were wet. He had been waiting for this day for far too long. For millions of years, Battle Hall had been on the decline, but he had never given up. Now that the cyclic sky seal had finally recognized him as its master, Lu Wenjing could already see Battle Hall rising like the sun, shining with unstoppable divine light. Damn it! Lei Qianjue and Xing Jun's expressions were extremely ugly, and they unconsciously clenched their fists. Zhan Tianqing, who they thought highly of, had failed, and Long Out Yen, who they hated the most, had succeeded. It was as if the heavens had played a huge joke on them. Zhan Tianqing suddenly raised his head and said to Lei Qianjue and Xing Jun, "I can testify that Huang Wuji was killed by Long Out Yen." Zhan Tianqing's words made Lei Qianjue and Xing Jun tremble, and their eyes lit up. Long Out Yen was still a true disciple, and he had not officially become the master of Battle Hall. Even if he had the cyclic sky seal, the sect could still force him to hand it over. As long as they could prove that Long Out Yen had killed Huang Wuji, they could push for Long Out Yen to be handed over to the 9 imperial gates. Then, who would be the most suitable successor for the cyclic sky seal? It could only be Zhan Tianqing. Lei Qianjue immediately said righteously, "Tianqing, do you have any proof? If Long Out Yen really killed Huang Wuji and destroyed the alliance between the Combat God Temple and the 9 imperial gates, then he is an evil person. He is not fit to be a disciple of the Combat God Temple, and he is not fit to control the cyclic sky seal." That's right. If we can prove that Long Out Yen killed Huang Wuji, then he has violated the rules of the Combat God Temple. As the enforcement elder, it is my duty to kill this insolent person. Chapter 1687. The moment Lei Qianjue and Xing Jun spoke, everyone's expression changed. They suddenly realized that even if Long Out Yen had become the owner of the sky-flipping seal, he was still just a true disciple. If it was proven that Huang Wuji was killed by Long Out Yen, the Grand Elder of the 9 imperial gates would not let Long Out Yen off the hook. The sect would not offend a sage patriarch for a mere immortal king disciple. Zhan Tianqing, don't you dare accuse me. The Grand Elder of the 9 imperial gates has already said that he found your aura at the place where Huang Wuji died. I think you are the one who killed Huang Wuji. Don't even think about framing Long Out Yen. Lu Wenjing said coldly. Long Out Yen was the hope of the Battle Temple. If anyone dared to harm Long Out Yen, he would not hesitate to kill them. Zhan Tianqing said coldly, I saw Huang Wuji in the Divine Cloud Valley in the mythical dimension. He was also there to capture thunder spirits to train his cultivation. He also had a dispute with Long Out Yen. Later, when the Divine Cloud Palace opened, Long Out Yen used a despicable scheme to injure me and the Thunder Spirit King in order to obtain the Divine Cloud Saint's heritage. In the end, he reaped the benefits and even made the Thunder Spirit King acknowledge him as his master. After that, I left the Divine Cloud Valley and heard the news of Huang Wuji's death. Long Out Yen must have wanted to frame me by finding my aura at the place where Huang Wuji died. It is actually very simple to find out the truth. All you need to do is to go through the St. Dao Heart Inquisition. I dare to go through the St. Dao Heart Inquisition, but does Long Out Yen dare to? Lu Wenjing's expression changed instantly. He knew that Huang Wuji had died at Ling Zhao's hands. Zhan Tianqing dared to go through the St. Dao Heart Inquisition, but Ling Zhao definitely could not. Under the St. Dao Heart Inquisition, one's life and thoughts would be out of control. All the secrets hidden in one's heart would be revealed. It was like taking off one's clothes in front of everyone. There would be no more secrets. What was more important was not killing Huang Wuji, but the wordless book on Ling Shao. Once the wordless book was exposed, the consequences would be thousands of times worse than killing Huang Wuji. By then, even the battle temple would not be able to protect Ling Shao would become the enemy of the world. Lei Qianjue sneered and said, "That's right. It was very simple to find out who the real culprit was. I want to see how long Outyen is going to quibble under the St. Dao Heart questioning." Everyone had different expressions on their faces, and the atmosphere had become incomparably subtle. Rumble. At this moment, the flipping sky seal in the distance suddenly began to tremble. An ancient and heavy aura emanated from it. Divine might permeated the air, containing fluctuations that shook the heavens and the earth. In an instant, tens of thousands of rays of light bloomed. The entire War Mountain began to shake as a vast and unparalleled devouring power emanated from the flipping sky seal. War Mountain's entire body glowed, and the boundless energy of the world flocked over and fused into War Mountain. Wang! War Mountain trembled. Mysterious saintly way markings appeared on it like divine chains of order. They circled around War Mountain as if it had been completely awakened. Grand bells, grand Dao sounds, heavenly flowers, golden lotuses, all sorts of mysterious phenomena appeared on War Mountain. Apart from Lu Wenzheng and the other disciples of War Hall, everyone who was originally in the belly of the mountain was swept out of War Mountain by a powerful force. The huge cyclic sky seal shone brightly and directly flew out of the belly of the mountain and floated above War Mountain. A young man in a snow-white robe stood on the cyclic sky seal. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and his eyes shone like stars. He was surrounded by an endless amount of chaotic qi. He had an invincible and extraordinary demeanor. "It's Long Outyen," someone exclaimed. His eyes were filled with shock. Who else could the young man on the flipping sky seal be but Long Outyen? Junior brother Long has really mastered the flipping sky seal. Ha ha ha. Tian Gang and the rest laughed excitedly. Hee ha, hee ha, hee ha. This brat is in the limelight again. The black donkey opened its eyes wide and said unhappily. "Big Brother Long, you're so powerful." Staring at its furry head, the purple lightning lion looked very cute. Its eyes were clear and pure, filled with admiration as it spoke in a childish voice. Swoosh! 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 The entire War God Hall was shaken by the aura of the flipping sky seal. Divine consciousness intertwined, vast and terrifying. All of it was projected onto War Mountain and onto Ling Shao, who was on the flipping sky seal. At this moment, Ling Shao was the center of attention. Rumble. Following the appearance of the flipping sky seal, bolts of lightning fell from the 9 heavens and enveloped the entire War Mountain. The purple lightning contained a vast amount of vitality and poured down like a waterfall. Thus, everyone saw an incomparably magical scene. The originally bare War Mountain began to exude a vast amount of vitality. Seeds burrowed out from the soil and the cracks in the rocks. Then, they quickly sprouted and began to grow. In front of everyone's eyes, there was a green light that was like a sea of vitality. The seeds grew into towering trees. The buds grew into gorgeous flowers. Grass spread out and hung on the mountain walls like vines. All kinds of strange fruits grew. Snow-white apes, dancing red-crowned cranes, and herds of mountain deer all appeared on War Mountain. Water filled the air, forming a vast waterfall that flowed through the forest and formed a clear stream that shimmered under the sunlight. Exuberant vitality filled the air. Waterfalls and springs flowed on War Mountain. Multicolored light shone in all directions. Ancient trees towered into the sky. All kinds of strange flowers and plants bloomed. Spiritual mist filled the air. The originally barren War Mountain became like a paradise. Heaven and earth changed. The changes on War Mountain were even more magical than heaven and earth. But this was not the end. Auspicious purple energy rose and enveloped the entire War Mountain. Flowers fell from the sky and golden lotuses bloomed from the ground. The mysterious sound of the Grand Tao resounded on War Mountain. It seemed to contain the truth of the Grand Tao, forming an ocean of the Grand Tao's true meaning. An incomparably mysterious power of laws was displayed before everyone. Whether it was Celestial Dipper, Xian Wang, Tai Niu, the Black Donkey, the Purple Lightning Lion, or even Lu Wenzheng, they couldn't help but sit down cross-legged at this moment. Their faces were filled with incomparable ecstasy. Their bodies were enveloped by the Grand Tao's true meaning. Their cultivations and realms were rapidly increasing. Just a trace of the Grand Tao's true meaning from War Mountain was enough to enlighten those outside. It was comparable to cultivating for several years. It was hard to imagine what kind of heaven-defying fortune Lu Wenzheng and the others had on War Mountain. Everyone revealed a look of extreme jealousy. And all of this was caused by Long Outyen on War Mountain. Chapter 1688. The entire War Mountain was like a withered tree receiving a new lease of life. After millions of years of silence, it finally began to blossom with boundless vitality. Moreover, because the flipping sky seal finally had an owner, this supreme treasure had activated the vast laws of heaven and earth, allowing the disciples of War Temple to obtain an unimaginable fortune. The power of the 5 elements gathered between heaven and earth. Yin and Yang divine light crisscrossed. The true meaning of the Great Tao poured into the bodies of Tian Gang and the others, allowing their cultivation to soar by leaps and bounds. Originally, if a divine king expert wanted to break through to the half-step saint realm, they had to comprehend the true meaning of the Great Tao and form their own Saint Tao origin before they could break through. This process was extremely long. Even many genius disciples would spend countless years in the divine king realm before they could comprehend the true meaning of the Great Tao. Just like the dean of the Aries College, Tong Yuan, who had been stuck at the Great Perfection divine king realm for thousands of years. This was a process of polishing one's state of mind, cultivation, and comprehension of the true meaning of the Great Tao. If one did not have heaven-defying luck and opportunity, it would be impossible to achieve it overnight. Even if Tian Gang and the others were extremely talented, they would still need to cultivate for at least hundreds or even thousands of years before they could break through to the semi-sage realm. However, they had encountered a supreme fortune and opportunity that had shortened this process by thousands or even tens of thousands of times. Their Tao heart had reached perfection and their cultivation had reached perfection. They had gradually found their own Saint Tao in the process of absorbing the true meaning of the Great Tao of the heavens. Rumble. A mysterious Saint Tao aura emanated from Tian Gang and the others, making their aura incomparably mysterious. It contained a majestic power, as if they were about to break through at any time. They are breaking through to the half-step saint realm? Someone exclaimed, his eyes filled with disbelief. Why would War Mountain have such a great fortune? Could it be that all of this was caused by that guy called Long Outyen? A disciple's eyes were filled with jealousy. It should be known that breaking through to the half-step saint realm was a major event in any immortal sacred ground. The sect would hold a celebration to qualify the person to be promoted to a true disciple. In the 12 immortal sacred grounds, saint realm experts were the foundation. A half-step saint was the most promising person to become a saint. Their status would also become unparalleled, far surpassing that of divine king disciples. If more than a dozen people from War Mountain were to advance to the half-step sage realm, then it would be a major event that would shock the entire War God Temple. It wasn't caused by Long Outyen. It's the cyclic heavenly seal. That's right. 1,000,000 years ago, the War Hall was the head of the 9 branches. It was a magnificent place with many powerful cultivators. The Scarlet Dragon War God controlled the sky-flipping seal and swept across the world. Could it be that Battle Hall is going to recreate the scene from 1,000,000 years ago? A few of the elders with aged faces seemed to have thought of something and were filled with shock. Rumble. At that moment, the cyclic sky seal emitted a brilliant light. It enveloped the entire mountain in an instant, forming a dazzling boundary. It locked in the mysterious precept and true meaning of the Great Path. The trace of aura that had leaked out had also disappeared. The disciples gathered outside War Mountain all showed a look of regret. It should be known that just a trace of aura from the cyclic sky seal had made them feel that they had obtained a great fortune. It was comparable to a few months of bitter cultivation. On War Mountain, Tiangong's qi and blood surged. In an instant, the surrounding void trembled. A majestic true meaning of the holy way gushed out from his body. It seemed that he could no longer suppress his cultivation and was about to break through to the half-step sage realm. Oh no! A sharp light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. He immediately controlled the cyclic sky seal. A majestic sealing power shot out from the cyclic sky seal and poured into Tiangong's body. It suppressed his violent cultivation and prevented him from breaking through to the half-step sage realm. After all, Tiangang had just broken through to the great divine king realm. He had obtained enough fortune today. If he forcibly broke through to the half-step sage realm now, his foundation would be unstable. Therefore, Ling Xiao did not want him to break through like this. More importantly, Ling Xiao could feel that the bloodline seal in Tiangong's body seemed to be unable to suppress it anymore. Tiangang was the son of great Emperor Pangu. Most importantly, the Chinese and Heavenly Curse sect in the divine world were probably constantly monitoring the bloodline of the Pangu clan. If Tiangang exposed the bloodline of the Pangu clan when he broke through to the half-step sage realm, a great disaster would befall him instantly. If the Chinese and Heavenly Curse sect joined forces, the War God Hall would not be able to resist them. Moreover, it was impossible for the War God Hall to resist the two superpowers for Tiangang. Then, Ling Xiao continuously used the sealing power to seal the cultivation of Xian Wang, Tai Niu, Black Donkey, and the others. He helped them suppress their cultivation and prevented them from breaking through to the half-step sage realm. He only allowed them to continue comprehending the vast true meaning of the Great Tao to strengthen their foundation. The flipping sky seal had accumulated power for millions of years. Just a few of the remaining waves were enough to allow Tiangang and the others to obtain supreme fortune. Even great elder Lu Wenjing's vitality became vigorous. Although his cultivation did not break through, his aura had become much stronger. Rumble. Heaven and earth shook and the entire War Mountain changed greatly. The War Mountain was majestic. Ancient trees towered into the sky and old vines surrounded it. All kinds of exotic flowers and herbs were in full bloom, exuding a strange fragrance. All kinds of rare birds and beasts were roaming in the forest. Waterfalls and springs were flowing, strange rocks were strange, and vast spiritual mist shrouded the forest. It made people feel comfortable all over with just a sniff. The War God Hall at the top of the mountain shone with thousands of auspicious lights. It was ancient and mysterious, causing the void to tremble violently. The vicissitudes of life and the ancient aura seemed to be telling everyone about the glory of the War God Hall. Ling Xiao stood in the air. His white robe was whiter than snow. His slender figure was handsome and his face was calm. His body exuded a mysterious glow and was shrouded in a faint chaotic mist. It was as if he had become the center of the entire world. More importantly, the flipping sky seal had shrunk to the size of a fist and landed in his palm. It was as black as ink, but it exuded a destructive and suppressive aura. The flipping sky seal and the War God Hall complemented each other. Ling Xiao's eyes seemed to have the power to see through people's hearts. Even Lei Qianjue, Xing Jun, and the others did not dare to look into Ling Xiao's eyes. They could not help but lower their heads. The flipping sky seal should have been mine. It's mine. Zhan Tianqing's handsome face was contorted and filled with crazy killing intent and jealousy. In front of Ling Xiao, he had an inexplicable feeling that he was not as good as Ling Xiao. This made him, who had always been arrogant, filled with anger and killing intent. This man must not be allowed to live. Lei Qianjue and Xing Jun looked at each other and saw the fear and killing intent in each other's eyes. Chapter 1689. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled. Dazzling light bloomed in the distant void as powerful auras swept across the sky. The news that Ling Xiao wielded the flipping sky seal had spread throughout the War God Temple. even the war god of the war god temple was alarmed. He was dressed in white and looked magnificent. His temperament was transcendent. His body was shrouded in a faint glow and his face could not be seen clearly. However, the vast power of the saint path caused the void to tremble. The great path immortal flower floated out of the void. Golden lotuses filled the air and a mysterious vision lingered between heaven and earth. Everyone could not help but tremble. The war god supreme of the war god temple had arrived. Greetings, war god. Everyone's eyes were filled with awe. They bowed to the white-clothed war god one after another. Their voices were like thunder that shook the sky. Rise! The war god said indifferently as his gaze fell on Ling Xiao in the void. Beside the war god was an old man with white hair and beard. He wore a luxurious violet robe and held a horsetail whisk in his hand. He seemed like a transcendent being with an extremely dignified appearance. His aura was extremely powerful as well. He was a saint as well. Behind the old man stood a middle-aged man in a purple robe and a young man with an arrogant face. Their auras were extremely powerful. The middle-aged man in the purple robe was a 9th revolution half-saint. Even the arrogant young man was a 3rd revolution half-saint. People from the 9 imperial gates? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He immediately sensed that the old man with white hair and beard and the people behind him were from the 9 imperial gates. They did not seem to have good intentions. Lord Battle God, is this Long Outyen? I did not expect that after a million years of decline, there would be someone who could wield the flipping sky seal today. Congratulations. However, if this man really kills my grandson, please do not stop him, war god. When the white-haired elder saw the changes in Zhan Mountain, a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. Finally, his gaze landed on Ling Xiao. It was incomparably deep, as if he wanted to see through Ling Xiao from head to toe. However, Ling Xiao had used the heaven-shrouding secret skill at this moment. His entire person looked like a piece of chaos. Although the old man was a sage, he could not see through Ling Xiao's true state. He really came for Huang Wuji. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat, and he couldn't help but sneer. The war god's expression was very calm, as if he didn't have any expression. Yang Fan, who was dressed in white, cupped his hands towards the old man and said, "Holy Emperor, we don't know how Huang Wuji died. Even if we find out who killed Huang Wuji in the end, we can't generalize. Please understand." Yang Fan knew that this old man's name was Huang Tai, a supreme elder of the imperial clan. His power was unfathomable and he had proven his Tao several 100,000 years ago to become a saint. No one knew what his current cultivation level was. Therefore, when Huang Tai arrived at the war god temple, the war god personally came to welcome him. "Oh, so you're saying that you want to protect this kid?" Huang Tai said calmly, his expression was very indifferent. A faint trace of saintly aura spread out from his body, causing the surrounding space to tremble violently. Even Yang Fan could not help but show a trace of fear in his eyes. "We wouldn't dare. Holy Emperor, why don't we find out what happened first, and then we'll decide how to deal with it?" Yang Fan said with a smile. Huang Tai glanced at the war god and said, "Lord War God, I'm not an unreasonable person. As long as we find out that my grandson's death has nothing to do with them, I'll leave immediately. Therefore, I must use the Saint Path Inquisition to investigate Zhan Tianqing and Long Outyen's hearts to find the real culprit who killed my grandson. Please grant my wish, Lord War God." As soon as Huang Tai's voice fell, Lu Wenjing's expression changed. He knew that Huang Wuji had indeed died at Ling Xiao's hands. If Huang Tai really used the Saint Path Inquisition, the result would be clear immediately. Moreover, Ling Xiao had the textless heavenly book. Whether it was to avenge Huang Wuji or to expose the textless heavenly book, the entire war god temple would probably be plunged into a catastrophe. Ling Xiao would also die without a doubt. "No. Huang Tai, this is the war god temple, not the 9 imperial gates. You want to use the Saint Path Inquisition to interrogate the disciples of the war god temple based on your suspicions? What right do you have?" I don't agree. Lord War God, are you really going to let this old man do whatever he wants? Lu Wenjing suppressed a trace of anger in his voice. Lu Wenjing, you're already old. Your cultivation has fallen to the sage-to-be realm. Do you think you're still the same as you were 1,000,000 years ago? I have evidence. Zhan Tianqing and Long Outyan were at the place where my grandson died. They're the two biggest suspects. I'll definitely get an answer today. Huang Tai said coldly. His voice carried a resolute and decisive tone. Huang Tai, if it was 1,000,000 years ago, would you dare to be so arrogant in front of me? Long Outyan is a member of the War God Temple. Now that he has the cyclic sky seal, he's the master of the War God Temple. You don't have the right to use the Saint Path Inquisition on him. Lu Wenjing sneered and didn't back down. Huang Tai's eyes flashed coldly. Lu Wenjing's words seemed to have touched his heart. He and Lu Wenjing were from the same era. 1,000,000 years ago, before the two of them had become saints, Lu Wenjing had already suppressed him. Even after becoming a saint, he had lost to Lu Wenjing several times, which was a great humiliation to him. Whoever dares to stop me from avenging Huang Wuji is my mortal enemy. Huang Tai said coldly as he stared at Lu Wenjing. The saint aura around him was concealed, and his aura became extremely terrifying. At this moment, Zhan Tianqing suddenly sneered and said, Lord War God, I can prove that the person who killed Huang Wuji is Long Outyan. He broke the agreement between the War God Temple and the 9 Imperial Gates. He's too audacious and killed the innocent. He doesn't deserve to be a disciple of the War God Temple, and he doesn't deserve the cyclic sky seal. Lei Qianjue also said coldly, Lord War God, I also agree to use the Saint Path Inquisition on Zhan Tianqing and Long Outyan. After all, this concerns the agreement between the War God Temple and the 9 Imperial Gates. If it's proven that they're not the culprits, the misunderstanding can be cleared up. If it's proven that someone is the culprits, it can be resolved and dealt with in time. It won't affect the relationship between the War God Temple and the 9 Imperial Gates. I agree with Vice Temple Master Lei. Lord War God, this is not a simple matter. It concerns the safety of the War God Temple. If there's really a disciple who dares to break the brotherhood between the War God Temple and the 9 Imperial Gates, he should be killed. Xing Jun also stepped forward and agreed.